said to Natasha, to which she told Steve, and so the three of them went to look in the whole kitchen for some supplies while Siko took care that no more zombies arrived. For 5 minutes they were searching, but they didn't find anything except for some cleaning supplies, despite not being what they expected. Naruto still took them because just because it was the end of the world didn't mean they couldn't have clean houses. Well, there were only cleaning supplies. Let's keep searching the house, said Naruto, to which the two girls nodded and continued searching. The Cap just followed them because if they didn't find anything it was obvious they would keep searching. When they finished searching that house they left just to run into the other group waiting for them. Something? Misato asked Naruto's group, to which he denied. No food, just some utensils and cleaning products, that and several melee weapons. And you? Naruto answered and asked, to which the boys denied. Nothing either, we had found some cans of food, but they were already expired, Iori answered. I see, well, we just have to keep looking, said Uni, to which everyone nodded. Well, let's look in the rest of those houses. If we don't find anything here then we'll have to create a special group to look for a big boat to go fishing, said Naruto after letting out a sigh. So everyone nodded and Naruto created a clone to go with the other group to seal what they found, so they continued checking the houses in the private subdivision. The groups were divided equally, and it didn't take more than 10 minutes per house except when they found zombies. Although they only went to 2 houses there were no more than 3 zombies in them. But those 2 houses took about 15 minutes since they made sure there were no more zombies. After about 3 hours the group finally finished searching the entire subdivision and met at the main door to leave. So what did you find? Asked Siko. Not much. Blankets, clothes, some medicines like alcohol, cotton, some medical bands, and some cars from which we removed the fuel. I think we managed to obtain about 100 or 260 liters of fuel, but although we did find food, it will expire very soon. A few days, and it was also little since most of it was already expired, said Ray, explaining what they found. How are you? Asked Shin. We found some small electric generators. We also found some first aid kits and some food, but it's the same as with you, it will expire soon. But luckily we managed to find some fruit trees, so we took the fruit that was left on them and also some branches to plant them at the base so we would have at least some fruit in a few months, said Naruto, which made everyone happy. That's great. What kind of fruit was it? Asked Uni happily. Well, they were apple, orange and peach trees. Besides that we also found watermelon plants, pumpkins and several more, so we brought them to plant them, Natasha said in Japanese to the boys. Oh great, now we can start planting, said Misato. Right, that reminds me that we should go to a library or something similar to look for an agriculture book, to know how to properly grow the plants we brought, said Naruto. Well, a few blocks from here there used to be a small library, said Uni, drawing everyone's attention except Steve's, since he didn't understand them, but Natasha translated for him in a low voice. Before? Shin asked. Yes, about 4 years ago my family lived near that library, but due to my father's job we moved, and the truth is I don't know if that small library is still there, answered Uni. Well, we have nothing to lose by going to check. Besides, if it's still there maybe we can find what we're looking for, said Iori, to which Naruto nodded. Well then let's go. We must go quickly if we want to return to the base before sunset, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded, and so they began to walk towards the library, being led by Uni. The group advanced on alert through some streets, until they were close to the library, but there was something that made them stop. The reason for this, because there were zombies roaming around, and they easily exceeded 50, and when looking at the edges of the library it was noticeable that there were also on the sides, and that already added more zombies. Because the library occupied a street long, that is, it was the only building between 2 streets. And now, how do we get through? Asked Shin, seeing the place surrounded by zombies. Well, zombies are our second problem, said Misato with binoculars. What do you mean? Siko asked, intrigued. The doors and windows of the library are closed and blocked with some boards or furniture, said Misato again, passing the binoculars to Siko. It's true, just in case we managed to get through the zombies. Then she passed the binoculars to Naruto. We couldn't get in and that would put us in danger, Siko finished saying. This is when I wish I had my original shield. I could face several of them, said Steve with the Roman shield on his right arm while with his left arm he touched his left pocket, a deformed bulge, and this was none other than the only part that remained of his original shield. What did he say? Naruto asked Natasha. He says he wishes he had his original shield since with it he could face most of them, Natasha replied, intriguing Naruto. Your old shield? Naruto asked, to which Natasha nodded. Yes, you see, he had a shield made of a special metal, because it was very light, but it was more resistant than titanium, because it absorbed vibrations completely, meaning even a bomb wouldn't destroy it, and it also had a peculiar characteristic: it only turned back towards him, said Natasha, surprising the young people. And why didn't you bring it? Iori asked. Some time ago, some guys we were fighting managed to destroy it with a special weapon made of the same materials, said Natasha. A special weapon? Asked Uni. Well, this is where the author's magic solves the problems with you. How could he? Carrot. Yes, although to be more specific, a spear also made of vibranium, but it was a very strong spear, just as strong as the shield, said Natasha, to which Naruto quickly understood. I understand, the legend of the strongest shield against the strongest javelin, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded. It's one way of looking at it, but yes, that's the way it is, said Natasha. What is that legend about? Shin asked with intrigue. It's about a shield that was so solid that even a diamond couldn't cut it, but there was a spear that was just as solid. They once faced each other, and the result was that the spear pierced the shield, said Naruto. Let's talk about that later. Now we need to know how to get in there, said Siko, to which everyone nodded in agreement. Allow me a moment, Naruto said, and then walked towards a building which surprised Natasha and the captain. But then both were surprised to see Naruto start to walk up the wall. What do you think, guys? Naruto asked his tenants, who looked through Naruto's eyes. There are many zombies and it won't be easy to get through them, at least not without using your clones, said Kurama, seeing all the zombies through Naruto's eyes. Kurama is right. Besides, your friends bring firearms, and that will only cause all the nearby zombies to attack them, said Gyuki. It's true. Well, now those swords and other things that you sealed will be useful, said Kurama, to which Naruto had to agree. Kurama is right. Also remember that we will help you protect them if things get complicated, said Sun, to which Naruto smiled. By the way, Naruto, inside that library, I feel the presence of about 12 people, said Kurama, making Naruto serious. I see. Well, there are people to save. If you want, you can possess one of my clones for fun, said Naruto with a smile which was reciprocated by the Bijus. I think we'll take you at your word, Naruto, said Sun. If you want, wake up your brothers so they can also go out and have fun, but just don't go overboard with the jutsus. Remember that we are in a city and something like a Bijudama is ruled out. Only slightly destructive jutsus, said Naruto, to which the Bijus nodded because they knew that they couldn't go overboard since they could cause a serious accident with the explosions that they would cause. Well, I'll go wake the others up, said Gyuki, starting to go to where his brothers were sleeping. After that, Naruto started to go down the building. When he reached the group, he spoke. There is no place to sneak away silently. The only thing left for us to do is fight them, said Naruto, to which everyone put on a serious look. But we can't use fire spiders, said Naruto, disconcerting the boys. What, why? Asked Misato. From what I could see, there are about 200 zombies around, and that's not counting the ones that I suppose are also in the back of the library, and unless we want to face more than 200 zombies, it will be better to advance with melee weapons, said Naruto, seeing a little fear in the eyes of the boys except for Siko. But we don't have melee weapons, we only brought firearms, said Iori. That won't be a problem, said Naruto, taking out a scroll. Then he spread it on the ground, and with a hand signal he made swords, maces and axes come out of the scroll along with some bows and arrows. We can use these, and I'll also use some clones for the fight, said Naruto, causing a raised eyebrow in Natasha, who wondered how many skills Naruto would have. Now you have whatever suits you best for fighting, said Naruto, to which the boys nodded. I think I'll take a bow. When I finished high school I went to a summer camp and there they taught us how to shoot with the bow, said Uni, taking a bow and a quiver with about 30 arrows. Carry a dagger too, just in case. After all, if they are close to you, you won't be able to shoot them, said Shin, offering him a dagger while he already had a Spartan-type sword sheathed at his waist. Well guys, it's time to put into practice what we learned from Mikoto-san, said Misato, who had a long sword. Just don't trust each other. We also have to watch each other's backs, said Iori, carrying a Viking-style axe. Just remember to aim for their heads or simply split them in half. But not from the waist, from head to toe, said Siko. But she hadn't grabbed an arrow because she never let go of the katana that Naruto gave her. Natasha, are you and Steve ready? Naruto asked, looking at Natasha, who had a pair of swords in her hands, although Steve was still alone with the shield. Yes, we are ready, although the captain still says he wishes he had his shield, said Natasha. Well, go ahead then guys, move forward to those benches, said Naruto, pointing to some benches that were about 4 meters from where the zombies started. The boys were moving forward until Natasha and Steve were going to move forward, but Naruto stopped them. What's wrong? Natasha asked. Well, according to what you said, Steve's shield was special and he's better suited to fighting with a shield than with another weapon, so I was wondering if he would have a fragment or something from his old shield that I could use, Naruto said, which surprised Natasha, who translated it to Captain America, who just nodded and took out a piece of metal that fit in his hand, then gave it to Naruto. It's light and according to what you say it's very strong, said Naruto, looking and feeling the metal fragment. Now lend me your shield, Steve, said Naruto, to which Natasha told him that Naruto needed the shield and the cap. Gave it to him. What will you do? Natasha asked, intrigued. You'll see, said Naruto with a smile. Then he closed his eyes and placed a piece of vibranium on the Roman-looking shield, which coincidentally was also round. When Naruto touched the piece of vibranium it began to shine. Here we go, said Naruto, and then the two Avengers looked surprised as the vibranium slowly expanded, or rather more was being created out of nowhere. The process lasted about 5 minutes, where when finished Naruto had in his hands a round, metallic-colored shield on the Roman shield. Done. Ugh, it was harder than I thought, because I didn't know what this metal was made of, said Naruto, wiping some sweat from his forehead. Then he grabbed the shield and saw that it was true, it was very light. But if he guessed right, he imagined that the cap. He would use it to throw it or something like that to fight, and if that happened he could lose it, so taking out another scroll he designed ink, paper and a brush. Then he began to draw symbols on the inside of the shield. When he finished the symbols shone and disappeared. Okay, this is ready. Now I need Steve to lend me his right hand, said Naruto, and then look at the surprised faces of the two people in front of him. What? He asked as if nothing had happened, making the two people react. What do you mean, what? You just created vibranium out of nothing, and it wasn't even a little bit. You practically built a shield out of thin air, Natasha said, surprised. Yes, that is another of my abilities, but it is not time to talk about it. I will tell you once we return to the base. For now we must take care of the zombies, said Naruto, causing the two in front of him to remember the mission. You're right, but I have many questions to ask you, said Natasha, to which Naruto sighed and nodded. Okay, now I need Steve to lend me his right hand, said Naruto, and so Natasha translated it to Steve, who, a little distrustful, approached and offered his right hand to Naruto, who placed the cap's hand, open with the palm facing up, then began to trace symbols on Steve's glove. When he finished, the symbols shone and then disappeared. What did he do? Steve asked, intrigued. Steve wants to know what you just did, Natasha said, although to be honest she wanted to know too. Oh, something he might like, Now tell him to stand up and be alert, said Naruto, taking the shield. Natasha nodded and said it to Steve, who became more intrigued. Tell him that when he throws the shield to close his fist, and then open it, said Naruto, to which Natasha did so, and obviously this also sowed more doubt in Steve. Okay, here it goes, said Naruto, and then threw the shield towards the street where they arrived. The shield bounced off several walls. Well, let's see what the boy is referring to, said Captain America, then closed his fist and then opened his hand. He was instantly surprised to see how the shield that Naruto threw returned to him. No more than 10 seconds passed when the shield reached him and automatically assembled in his right hand. I put a seal on it so that every time you throw it, no matter how far it is, when it is the signal to open your fist, it will return to you and place itself in your hand, said Naruto, which surprised Natasha, and she translated it to Steve, who, although he was surprised, smiled. Natasha, thank the boy for me. Now thanks to him I can fight comfortably, said Sebe, and then went to the boys. Steve says thanks, that now he can fight seriously, said Natasha, to which Naruto smiled. This boy is very mysterious, although I am also surprised by the variety of skills he has, Natasha thought to herself. It's nothing. Now he didn't finish speaking when a vibrating sound interrupted them. Oh, it's my cell phone. Excuse me for a moment, said Natasha, and then took out her cell phone, and surprised to see that she had reception, and even more so when she saw who was calling her. Hey, hello, Natasha? Said a man's voice. Yes, what's wrong, Hawkeye? Natasha asked her friend and partner, none other than Clint Barton, alias Hawkeye, or also known as Hawkeye. Thank God I was able to contact you. Listen, I need help. I'm with my family in a cabin on the outskirts of New York. I need you to help me take them to a safe place. Here we already live as attacks of no more than 10 zombies. But if more start arriving, I don't think I can stop them, said Barton, worrying Natasha. Damn, Clint, the problem is that I'm not in the United States. The president sent me as ambassador to Japan. They sent a group of survivors to a safe zone in Japan, which from what I've seen is practically impenetrable for zombies, said Natasha with some sadness and helplessness for not helping her partner. I see. Do you think they'll let us into that safe zone if I can get my family there? Barton asked hopefully. I think I can convince the leader of the area to let you in, and if you're willing to help by fighting, it's very likely that he will, Natasha said, only to hear a sigh of relief. You know very well that as long as my family is safe I will do whatever it takes, said Barton. Okay, wait a bit, said Natasha, and then looked at Naruto. What's wrong? Naruto asked when he saw that Natasha was looking at him, and there was concern in her eyes. A friend of mine and his family have suffered some zombie attacks. They are sheltered in a cabin on the outskirts of New York, but they don't know how much longer they can resist. They asked me for help. But since I'm here I can help them. I mentioned the base and I wonder if you would let them in and in return he would help fight the zombies, said Natasha, to which Naruto saw hope in her eyes. How many are there? Naruto asked. There are 5 counting him, and to be honest I can assure you that there is no one who can beat him in archery. He has never missed a single arrow, said Natasha. Okay. Also, I can see that despite being so far away, you still want to help your friends, and that makes me happy. Because for me, friends and precious people are more important than anything else in this world. There is nothing more valuable than them, said Naruto, causing joy in Natasha. So? I asked happily. Yes, once we return to the base, I will leave a clone in you and I will go for your friend and bring them back, said Naruto, bringing tears of gratitude to Natasha. Thank you, Naruto. Thank you, said Natasha, hugging Martel, who reciprocated the hug. A few seconds later Natasha separated, embarrassed because she had never acted like that. Sorry for that. I'll tell my partner, said Natasha, and then moved away a little and told Barton what Naruto decided. Seriously, thanks, Natasha. I owe you one. We'll be waiting for you, said Barton. Okay, just hold on. Now I have to go. I'm on a mission with a group of survivors, said Natasha. Okay, and thanks. Good luck on your mission and be careful, said Barton, and then hung up. Ready? Naruto asked Natasha, who nodded. Yes, ready, let's go, said Natasha, and then went to the rest of the group who were already ready to begin the attack. Okay guys, we'll do it like this. We'll go in 2 lines, Steve and I in front, then behind us will be Iori and Emi. Behind them will be Sikakan and Shin, then Misato and Natasha, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded in agreement. Then Naruto with a hand signal made more than 4 dozen clones appear, of which 9 adopted certain features that indicated that the 9 Bijus had possessed them. Okay guys. You will take care of 2 things. One is to cover us from afar until we get to the library doors, and number 2, once we manage to get there and enter, he said this to his clones, once we manage to get in, you can have fun, Kurama, Naruto said to his possessed clones, which smiled and nodded. Leave it in our hands, Naruto said Kurama, surprising everyone that the clone's voice changed and also his appearance became more wild. But knowing the situation they were in, they decided to leave it for later. Okay then, said Naruto, and so he and the captain went out to deal out beatings to the zombies. Naruto, upon reaching the first zombies, began to cut heads or split them in half with his arms wrapped in futon, while Steve hit the zombies with his shield and threw them down, killing them with a military knife, burying them in the head. Further back, Iori and Umi slit the throats of the zombies that were alerted and were close to them. Then behind them, about 2 meters away, came Siko and Shin, also decapitating the zombies that were alerted but were a little further away than those killed by Umi. And Iori and finally Natasha and Misato were also in charge of killing the zombies that came from behind or flanked them, these being the ones that were further away than those killed by Siko and Shin. With Kurama and his brothers. Meanwhile, Kurama and his brothers, who possessed Naruto's clones, were throwing kunais and shuriken at the zombies who were coming far behind the group, and if they managed to reach them, they would be in serious trouble. Just a little more and the boys will have reached the entrance, said Kurama, throwing 3 kunai and hitting 3 zombies in the head, but due to the force they went through them and ended up killing another 3. But we won't be able to start until the group manages to enter the library, or we could hurt them with our attack, said Koko, to which her brothers nodded, knowing that she was right. This while between her and Matatabi they threw several shuriken, giving the vision of a black line that were actually shuriken perfectly aligned. These impiously slit the throats of about 5 zombies. Pay attention, they're almost here, said Sun, seeing how the boys were about to arrive at the library. Great, I can't wait to start, said Shikaku, eager to fight. This time it agrees with Shikaku. It's been a long time since we fought, and even if those things don't defend themselves, it will be fun to massacre them, said Saiken. Remember, each one will use their chakra to give it to the clones so that they don't disappear easily, said Chomei, to which the others nodded. Yes, we know, said Kurama. With Naruto and the group. The group managed to reach the entrance of the library, which apparently was closed and stuck on the other side, but not even 10 seconds passed when they heard that they began to move furniture. About 3 minutes later the door opened and the group entered the library. When everyone entered, the door closed behind them. Thanks for letting us in, we are from a recovery group and we were looking for supplies and survivors, Naruto said to a man and a woman in front of them. Yes, we heard them on the radio and we, along with other parents, were trying to get to that place, hoping that our children were there, said the man. Wait, you are Tatsumi's father, said Iori, surprised to recognize the man and equally surprised both parents after the mention of their son. With Kurama and his brothers. The Bijus, when they saw the group enter and the door close behind them, they all smiled and spoke in unison. It's time to begin, they all said with a sinister smile, and just like that the 9 launched into the attack. Chapter 11. The team consisting of Naruto, Siko, Umi, Misato, Iori, Shin, Natasha and Steve had managed to enter the library, where they apparently met the parents of their classmate Tatsumi. Parents. Are there more parents looking for their children? Umi quickly asked. Yes, there are 16 of us in total, said Tatsumi's father. And where are they? Iori asked. The others are on the second floor of that library. They are trying to find an exit without having to face the zombies, said Tatsumi's mother, but at that moment several explosions began to be heard. What's going on? Tatsumi's father asked, going to where the second floor could be seen. There is a group of young people who are killing the zombies. They throw fire from their mouths, said another man from the second floor. What? What do you mean, shooting fire from their mouths? Tatsumi's father asked. Just as you heard it, they are finishing off the zombies like this, said the man who was on the second floor. Wait, that voice, said Ami, starting to tear up. Dad, is that you? Shouted Ami, going to where Tatsumi's father was. Daughter? Daughter, said the man happily. Elizabeth, come quickly, said the man, only for a woman to come running to where the man was. What's wrong, Tom? Asked the woman known as Elizabeth, who was a woman with brown hair and green eyes, a curvy body like any housewife who dedicates a lot of work and effort would have. Mother, said Umi happily upon seeing her mother. It can't be, Umi, said Elizabeth, who ran towards the stairs that led to the ground floor. When she got down, she went directly to hug her daughter. Himiko, Martha, Alice, Kodari, Rin, Shernan, come, said Tom, to which the named women ran to where Tom was, only for most to rejoice at seeing their children, and then do the same as Elizabeth. Rick, Sora, Ted, Itami, Takeo, Akira, come, here are the children of some of you, said Tatsumi's father, whose name was Kyuji, and his wife's name was Mari. The aforementioned men also came running and went with their wives to hug their children, or well, just the parents of those who were present. Umi, daughter of Tom and Elizabeth. Tatsumi, hijo de Kiji y Mari. Iori, son of Rick and Himiko. Shin, son of Sora and Martha. Misato, son of Tet and Alice. Toka, daughter of Itami and Kodari. Naomi, daughter of Takeo and Rin. Ryu, hijo de Akira y Shernan. After a welcome and an emotional moment between the parents and children present, everyone returned to the matter for which they had come. Gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt the reunion, but we came to look for a book, remember? Said Naruto, at which the boys separated from their parents. Right, let's look for the book on agriculture, said Shin, to which the others nodded. We will help you find him, said Sora, to which the other parents nodded. By the way, Naruto-san, a question, said Akira, to which Naruto nodded as if for him to continue. Are our children, and those of the others present here, in the safe zone? He asked with hope and fear for the answer. What are your children's names? Naruto asked. My son's name is Ryu, said Akira. Our daughter's name is Naomi, said Takeo. Ours is called Toka, said Itami. Oh yes, they are in the safe zone. In fact, I took them there myself, said Naruto, making the 6 parents happy that their children were okay. Okay, now let's look for that book, and if you find some similar ones, bring them too. Naruto said, and so everyone set out to look for the books that Naruto and his companions were looking for. Outside the library with Kurama and his brothers. Just as Kurama saw the group enter the library, he smiled in amusement. That time, let's go, said Kurama to his brothers, who smiled too. Let's have fun, said Matabi. It was about time, said Isabu. It seems that Shikaku has already gotten ahead of us, said Koko, seeing how the clone that Shikaku controlled had already launched itself towards the zombies. As impatient as ever, said Sun this time. Let's stop talking and go, or Shikaku won't leave us anything, Saiken said, to which his brothers nodded, and so they launched into combat. Let's have fun, said Gyuki, and then everyone began to get rid of the zombies by hitting them, and with some techniques. The only thing that was seen in the place were parts of zombies flying, but suddenly Kurama threw a fireball, incinerating 20 zombies only one impact, since the fire spread more and killed another 10. The other Bijus, to see what Kurama did, got more excited and also began to create techniques. Isaba throwing water techniques, Gyuki lightning, Shikaku air and sand, sun fire and earth, Koko steam and water, Seiken corrosion and water, Matatabi fire, Chome wind and Karama continued with fire. The zombies before this were quickly defeated, not even the special ones could face them. After 16 minutes everything was left without a trace of zombies, not even the bodies were left since Karama, Matatabi and Sun reduced them to ashes with fire jutsus. It was fun, said Gyuki. Yes, it's been a while since I practiced a little, said Sun this time. It's like they say, good things don't last long, said Koko. At least now we could go out and have fun together. It's been ages since that happened, said Matatabi, to which everyone nodded. I want more of those things to arrive, so I can keep killing, said Shikaka, looking around hoping to see some zombie. Unfortunately, we even finished off those who were 2 blocks from here. After all, more started arriving when we started using jutsus, said Chome. Even so, remember what Naruto said to the red-haired girl. When we return we will leave for her friend and his family, which means we will go to another country to save a family, said Isabu. Right, and if I'm not mistaken, Naruto will use Rikudu mode to go faster because I think he wants to arrive today, said Seiken. You know, now that you're also inside the boy, it would be good to train a link so he can use some of his abilities, said Karama, to which the others nodded, seeing that it was a good idea. Inside the library? Everyone inside the library began to look for the agriculture book they needed. They looked everywhere, and luckily they managed to find it in the botany section, and the one who found it was Iori, who put it in a backpack. But Naruto, seeing the variety of books there were, thought better of it, and created some shadow clones and ordered them to seal the books in storage scrolls. Then he also did the same. It should be said that the adults had been surprised to see Naruto create clones of himself. But then Siko explained to them, and of course, it left the adults even more surprised. After about 15 minutes, all the books in the library had been sealed in storage scrolls. Okay, time to go. Is everything ready? Naruto asked the parents, who nodded. Okay, everyone, let's go, said Naruto, and then opened the doors, and just as he did this, the Bijus made the clones disappear, sending all their memories to the original Naruto. And the zombies? Shin asked, seeing that they had the whole path clear. There isn't a single one of them left, said Ami, surprised. There were a lot of zombies. What happened to them? Natasha asked in Japanese. Let's say that some clones of mine and some friends took care of them, said Naruto, and then started walking. Come on, let's hurry to get there before sunset, said Naruto, getting further and further away. Then almost instantly Siko, Natasha, Steve and Iori started to follow him, and after a few seconds the others followed him. The way back was particularly calm, as they were not attacked by zombies, nor did they encounter any of them. By 12 noon the group was arriving at the base. The parents were surprised to see the large rock walls which had metal bars surrounding the parts where there were sentries, that is, from the top of the wall, which they used so that some lookouts could watch for zombie attacks and prepare themselves. Very well, welcome to the safe zone, said Naruto as the doors opened and everyone entered through them. Wow, the walls really are huge, said Mary. And they have very good security, said Itami, looking at the walls where there were several armed men and looking out through the metal slits that were there. Naruto-san, why are there metal slits in the sky? Rick asked. A few days ago, some survivors warned us about some mutant zombies that can fly, so to avoid incidents I created those cracks. That is, the safe base is like a birdcage, which no flying zombie will be able to enter, said Naruto as they continued on their way. Oh, now I remember, I saw some of those the other day, but luckily they didn't make it to the library, said Sora. Well, Sika-kan, please take the gentlemen to where their children are, asked Naruto, to which the aforementioned only nodded. Of course, Narukin, please follow me, I will take you to your children, said Siko, smiling. You guys too, enjoy some time with your parents, Naruto said to Misato, Shin, Iori and Umi, who nodded happily, and before leaving Iori gave the botany book to Naruto. Natasha, let's go to our house too, said Steve, to which Natasha denied. Excuse me, Steve, but I would like to talk to Naruto about something important. You go back, then I'll go, said Natasha, to which Steve put on a suggestive smile and nodded. Okay, I wish you luck. It seems your battle is a very difficult one to win, said Steve, to which Natasha got the message and blushed slightly. It's not that, Steve, Natasha said in a slightly loud tone. Sure, whatever you say. Well, see you, said Steve, and then went to his house with his new shield on his back, leaving Naruto and Natasha alone. Well, Natasha, let's go to the mansion. There we can talk better and you can give me some details about the location of your friend, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded, and so they both began to head to the mansion. When they arrived at the mansion, they went directly to Naruto's study. When they arrived, they saw that Mikoto and Yuriko were inside sorting some papers. Hey girls, we're back, said Naruto, to the joy of the two women. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, said both girls. If I don't stay long, I'll leave for the United States to go find a friend of Natasha, since zombies have been attacking him by hordes, and he doesn't know how much longer they can hold out, said Naruto, making the girls smile slightly. Well, then we'll take care of the base in your absence, right, Mikoto-san? Said Yuriko, to which Mikoto nodded. Thanks, girls, said Naruto to the two women. Now, Natasha, tell me, exactly where is your friend, said Naruto, standing in front of a very large world map. Of course, he is right around this area, said Natasha, while with a pencil she scratched in a space where it said New York, more exactly where there was a mountainous area. The map is in color, so it is called brown for mountainous areas, green for forests, yellow for desert, yellowish green for prairies, white for snowy areas, and brown for swamps, etc. It's in a mountainous area, but with a forest at the same time, said Naruto thoughtfully. It will be difficult to land a plane there, Natasha Dojo, causing the amused smiles of Mikoto and Yuriko by what Natasha said. It's a good thing we're not going by plane, said Naruto, intriguing Natasha. What will we go in then? Asked Natasha. You'll see, said Naruto. Well, here is the book of botany and agriculture. I also brought a lot of books apart since I thought they would be useful to us in the future to educate the next generation, said Naruto, taking out a scroll and giving it to Mikoto. Very well, I will take care of organizing them all, said Mikoto, taking the scroll. Thanks, but ask for help, there are quite a few books, said Naruto. Oh, by the way, the electrical engineers who came from the United States have already installed electrical wiring in the underground base, and right now there are some men installing water pipes and ventilation ducts. We estimate that the first part of the underground base will be ready in about 2 weeks, of course only if we have enough help to install the metal plates since they weigh a lot, said Yuriko, to which Naruto smiled. I'm glad to hear that, and don't worry about the metal plates. I'll help with that, said Naruto, and then took some report papers and looked at them. It seems the water well will last about 3 more days. I think we should make another 2 so that it will sustain us for at least 3 weeks. Then he went to the next daughter. The food reserves are fine. We have what is necessary for a few more months. Then he went back to another page. The reports from lookouts say that some flyers have been seen but that they have not yet begun to approach the base. Well, that is something good, said Naruto, and then left the papers on the desk. Well, let some survivors start growing vegetables and fruits. Some time ago I found healthy livestock animals and hid them to raise them, so in the future we will have self-sufficiency in meat too, said Naruto. Always thinking about everything. Well, we'll take care of that while you're gone, said Mikoto. By the way, if you can, let the president know that I'll be going to his country. I think I can stop by for a visit before I come back, said Naruto, to which Yuriko nodded. Sure, I'll tell the radio people to contact them and let them know, said Yuriko. Thanks, fine, Natasha. Let's go get your friend and his family, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded and started to follow Naruto. One more thing. Keep an eye on you-know-who, said Naruto seriously, to which the girls nodded seriously. After that, Naruto and Natasha left the mansion. Both continued walking towards the exit gate. Sir, will you come out again? Asked the guard, to which Naruto nodded. Yes, by the way, do you still have the keys to that? Naruto asked, to which the guard nodded with a smile. Lend them to me. I'll use them, Naruto said, to which the guard entered a small booth, and after a few seconds he came out to throw some keys to Naruto, who caught them. I hope you have luck, said the guard, to which Naruto nodded, and then the gate was opened and Naruto and Natasha left. After their exit, the gate was closed again. What are those keys? Natasha asked, only for Naruto to throw the keys to her, and she caught them. Come follow me, said Naruto, going towards one of the houses that were next to the walls. He went towards the garage of the house, and when he arrived he opened it, revealing what was inside. Whose is it? Natasha asked, looking at what was inside the garage. Some survivors gave it to me when they arrived here, but since I don't know how to drive, it's useless to me. So I'll leave it to you, said Naruto, to which Natasha was surprised and then walked towards the object, which was a black livewire motorcycle, and above all it was electric, so it was only recharged with a solar battery, and would be ready to ride. Wow, it's just like the one I had a few years ago, said Natasha, getting on the bike and taking the handlebars. I'm glad you like it, said Naruto, and then got on the motorcycle too, but behind Natasha. Now try it out while you take us to the airport to go to the United States, said Naruto, to which Natasha smiled, looking over her shoulder at Naruto. Okay, I hope and don't get scared, said Natasha, taking a helmet that Naruto gave her. Then she put it on and started the motorcycle. Hold on, handsome, it's going to be a fast trip, said Natasha, accelerating. Naruto just put his hands around Natasha's waist to hold on and not fall. Whenever you want, precious. I'm ready, said Naruto, causing a smile and a slight blush in Natasha. Flirting with me, huh? You're really flattering me, but unfortunately we don't have time for it, said Natasha before starting the motorcycle and speeding off towards the airport. It didn't take them more than 10 minutes to get to the airport, given the speed Natasha was going. Upon arriving at the airport, they left the motorcycle in a hangar and hid it to prevent it from being stolen, since there might still be bandits. Okay, now how are we going to New York? I don't see any plane except the one we arrived in, said Natasha, and then looked at Naruto. Don't tell me we're taking that plane, said Natasha, to which Naruto denied. Of course not. From what I saw when they arrived, it takes 2 people to drive it, and as you know, I don't know how to drive vehicles, much less aircraft, Naruto said in a sorry manner the last thing. So? Natasha asked, to which Naruto just smiled. Well, like that, said Naruto, only to adopt his form of the 6 paths with the Gododamas on his back. This surprised Natasha when she saw Naruto's transformation. But what? Natasha said in surprise. This is an ability I have thanks to some friends. After saying that, Naruto began to float a meter in the air, and that is how we will go after your friend, said Naruto, and then defended. Now please, put your arms around my neck to go, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded, a little blushed, and then did what Naruto said. Ready? Naruto asked Natasha with a smile. Yes, ready, said Natasha, returning the smile. So Naruto began to pay attention again until most of the city could be seen. Okay, let's see, we're in the center of the city. According to information, the United States is to the east from here, Naruto said to himself. But he remembered that they had to go fast. Well, we should hurry. So, Kurama. Naruto shouted, only to be wrapped in a golden chakra cloak that took the form of a fox, which was also flying. Kurama, let's go quickly, Naruto said. Leave it to me, Naruto said, Kurama's voice, which left Natasha very surprised. First to see that a golden energy surrounded them and took the form of a fox, and even more so that it spoke. But deep down she was also grateful for it, since it was difficult for her to breathe because of the height they were at. But now the energy that surrounded them acted as a pressure-regulating field, that is, inside it she could breathe normally. So Kurama began to fly eastward, targeting the United States. They were going at an amazing speed. It was as fast as a jet. Match 3. Incredible, the speed we're going at is amazing. I think it could be compared to a fighter plane, Natasha thought, surprised, looking down and seeing that she could only see trees passing quickly. At the speed Kurama was going, it would take them 3 hours to reach New York. 2 hours and 25 minutes later. Naruto, I see land. I think it's the United States, said Kurama to Naruto. Perfect. Find an airport and land there, Kurama said Naruto. Why an airport? Natasha asked, intrigued. We need to know what part of the United States we are in, so we can better locate ourselves to know how to get to New York, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded, understanding the reason. I found it. Well, here we go. Let's start descending, said Kurama, and so he began to descend towards the airport. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the airport, and Kurama landed on it. As he did so, the fox-shaped chakra cloak ended until Naruto was alone, who began to descend with Natasha in his arms. When they reached the ground, Naruto removed his transformation and Natasha separated a little from him. Let's go in, Naruto. If I remember correctly, there are also maps in airports. If we find the map of the United States, then we will know how far away we are. Also, apparently we are in Virginia. We have to travel 2 states to get to New York. It is about 650 kilometers more or less, said Natasha, because when entering the airport there was a sign that said Welcome to Richmond, Virginia. Then both advanced through the airport until they found the map of the United States, which was next to the ticket office. Apparently New York is north of here, said Naruto, looking at the map. But then looked to the left, seeing what seemed to be a cafe. Let's see if there's something in that place, said Naruto to Natasha, who turned to where Naruto was looking, only to see a cafe. There may be some things left. Of course, if by things we mean coffee and coffee cream, said Natasha in a somewhat sarcastic tone. But something is something, said Naruto, shrugging his shoulders and then going towards the store. Natasha just followed him. When entering, they saw that everything was dark, because the lights were out. Some broken glass was on the floor. Suddenly they heard a noise like something falling to the ground. Did you hear that? Asked Natasha. Yes, be careful, said Naruto, unsheathing a kunai, and Natasha her weapon, although she had few bullets left. In turn both took out a flashlight to be able to see in the dark. Both advanced cautiously towards the part of the kitchen that was where the noise came from. They illuminated with the flashlight, and at the back of the kitchen they could see a dog eating something. Thank goodness it's just a dog, said Natasha. But the sound of the voice made the dog turn to look at him. Natasha, I don't think you should relax, said Naruto as the dog began to growl. Why do you say that? I asked, surprised. Look at the dog's appearance, said Naruto, to which Natasha did so, only to see that he had a hole in his chest, and what appeared to be a knife stuck in his abdomen. Oh no, he could only say that before the dog started running towards them. Run to the exit, said Naruto, so they both ran out of there. Although of course Naruto putting Natasha ahead, they both managed to get out of the cafe and jumped behind the ticket counter. The dog, going too fast, also jumped, but passed right over them. Natasha, stay here. I'll take care of him, said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded. Naruto looked out only to see the dog running towards him again. But Naruto jumped out, managing to get the dog's attention. The dog, the instant he saw Naruto come out, immediately focused on him and began to chase him. Naruto, seeing that the dog was finally chasing him, began to run towards a column. But on the way he began to focus futon chakra to his hands. Just when he reached the column, Naruto adhered to it and jumped back. The dog also jumped towards the column, but at the moment of this Naruto received it with his hand wrapped in futon, which resembled a sword. At the moment in which the dog also jumped towards the pillar, Naruto cut the dog in half. But what he did not realize is that from his left side came another dog and was about to bite him. But this did not happen, thanks to the sound of a gunshot and a body falling caught Naruto's attention, which when he looked to his left he saw the body of another dead dog. Then he turned towards Natasha, who had her weapon unsheathed and pointed in his direction. But Naruto also managed to see another dog going behind Natasha. He quickly took his kunai and put chakra on it, and then throwing it with force, the kunai passed exactly by Natasha's side and stuck into the dog's head. thus falling dead. "We have to get out of here," Naruto said to Natasha, who nodded and came out from behind the counter to run towards the exit. "Damn, the noise of the gun caught their attention," said Naruto, watching as zombies started to come out from everywhere, so he also ran towards the exit. But in his hand he was preparing a raisin shuriken, but it had a slightly red hue. Just as he reached the exit, Naruto stopped and turned towards the zombies. "Utan raisin shuriken!" exclaimed Naruto, transforming back into his six paths form. Then he threw the raisin shuriken at the zombies and quickly flew towards Natasha, and then took her and flew a little high and far away. "What ha?" Natasha didn't finish asking when an explosion caught her attention. She looked towards the building they came from only to see it explode. "Okay, next stop New York," said Naruto, starting to fly north, although this time not so high so that Natasha could breathe well. After about 10 minutes of flying, Naruto saw a city that obviously looked like chaos, because the buildings were on fire or with black smoke coming out of them. Some had already collapsed. He continued flying, passing right over the White House. He continued flying until he left the city, and the sky was already starting to turn red because the sun was starting to set. "What city was that we just passed?" Naruto asked. "It was Washington, D.C., Natasha replied. "Oh, so that was the city where the president of this country is," said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded as a sign that he was right. After that, no one spoke for the next 40 minutes, which was when they finally arrived in New York. "This is New York City," Natasha said, looking down and trying to get her bearings. "I'll need you to guide me to your friend's house," said Naruto, to which Natasha nodded. "Well, it's because of the beach," said Natasha, pointing to the northwest. "In that direction there is a forest. Clint has his house in that forest, almost in the center," said Natasha, to which Naruto nodded and began to fly in the direction Natasha gave him. No more than 5 minutes passed when they finally arrived at the forest. Naruto slowed down and focused on feeling the presence of people in the forest. It wasn't long before he felt 5 people near his location. He quickly flew in that direction. He managed to see a house that was built near a meadow which was right in the center of the forest, 10 years old, about 100 meters from the house. "We arrived," said Naruto, putting down Natasha, who ran towards the cabin. "Clint! Clint!" Natasha screamed, calling her friend and unfortunately some unwanted guests. "Damn, here come more. Can I get a break from you?" said Naruto, watching as several zombies began to come out of the forest and ran towards his direction and that of the cabin. "Natasha?" A man's voice sounded as a door opened. "Clint, are you okay?" Natasha asked worriedly. "Yes, my family is fine. They are in the living room now. I'm glad to see you," said Clint, and then hugged Natasha. "Excuse me for interrupting, but we have problems," said Naruto, arriving and pointing behind where several zombies could be seen going in their direction. "That's not true. Come in quickly," said Clint seriously. "Cooper, bring my bow," said Kleena, to which a boy of about 12 years old gave him a bow and a quiver with arrows to Clint. "Thanks, now go with your mother," said Clint, to which the boy left again. "Natasha, go with the boy and the others. Make sure they don't enter through the back," said Naruto, to which Natasha did so, and Clint saw that the boy spoke in Japanese. Used luck for the one who knew how to speak Japanese because of an undercover mission with Natasha where both had to learn Japanese. "You should come in too, your boy. This isn't a game," said Clint, to which Naruto smiled. "You need all the help you can get to kill them all, since from what I see you don't have enough for everyone," said Naruto with a confident smile. "Well, in that case your help is welcome," said Clint, then pointed his arrow towards the zombies and shot it, hitting one in the head, but after a few seconds the arrow exploded, taking about 4 more zombies. "Explosive arrows. Interesting," said Naruto, seeing the explosion caused by the arrow. "Yes, but unfortunately I only have 2 more of those left," said Clint. "Well, in that case I better start helping," said Naruto, and then took out several kunai and shuriken, and then started throwing them towards the zombies. But after a few seconds they also exploded. "Really? Explosive kunais?" Clint asked, to which Naruto smiled. Originality never hurts, said Naruto, shrugging his shoulders, making Clint smile. I'm starting to like you, kid, said Clint, and then shot another arrow hitting a zombie, and it also exploded, taking another 6 with it. My name is Naruto, by the way, he said, throwing 2 kunai in 2 directions, which fell embedded in 2 zombies that came in different groups, which also exploded. In total, in the 2 groups, 10 zombies died. Clint Barton, a pleasure, he said, and then shot his last explosive arrow at a group of 15 zombies. And the arrow being right in the zombie in the center, everyone around him died from the explosion. Well, that was my last explosive arrow. Tie this to your remaining arrows, said Naruto, giving him some papers with symbols. What is this? Clint asked. Do what I told you and you will know, said Naruto, smiling, and then threw his last kunai. Okay, here we go. Thanks for this, old man, said Naruto, and then made some hand seals. Nimpo Kajakuni no Jutsu. After that, the last kunai that Naruto threw transformed into 2 dozen, which shot towards several zombies, thus exploding most of those that remained. I see you have powers too. It's good to see that not all the humans with abilities went into hiding to protect themselves, said Clint, and then shot an arrow with the paper Naruto gave him. The arrow, when it stuck in a zombie, it exploded too. How the hell? Explosive papers? Is that even possible? Asked Clint, surprised. I'll explain it to you later, now I'll concentrate, said Naruto. Damn, I ran out of kunai. Well, the old-fashioned way, said Naruto, looking at an axe that was next to the door. Then he took it and started to advance. Wait, don't tell me you're going hand-to-hand, Clint said incredulously. Then I won't tell you anything, said Naruto, before running towards the zombies. Damn, I have no choice but to cover him, said Clint, aiming an arrow towards the zombies that were going towards Naruto, but was surprised when Naruto slit one of their throats and another one was approaching from behind him, but quickly turned around and cut the zombie's head in 2, then jumped and threw the axe forward, managing to stick it in another zombie's head. He quickly ran, hitting the zombies that crossed his path. When he reached the zombie that had the axe stuck in his head, Naruto took it, and crouching down a little, he turned quickly, decapitating 6 zombies that surrounded him. Well, I think it won't be necessary to cover him, said Clint, seeing the ease with which Naruto killed the zombies, so he focused on his own. After about 20 minutes of fighting, they had finally finished off the zombies. Good job, you're moving well, Clint said to Naruto, who had some of his clothes stained with blood. Thanks, but you did well too. Natasha told me that you never miss an arrow, and I see that it's true, said Naruto, leaving the arrow where he grabbed it. But then both turned their sight to the part of the forest that was right in front of the house, only to see 2 tanks come out from between the trees. Oh please, seriously, said Clint. Just tie 3 papers to your arrow. I'll take care of the one on the right, said Naruto, taking the axe again. By the way, sorry about your axe, but will it be destroyed? Said Naruto, to which Clint turned to him only to see Naruto put explosive papers on the axe. Don't worry, it doesn't matter, said Clint, and then he put 3 explosive papers on his arrow. The tanks at that moment began to run at high speed towards the house. Ready? Naruto asked. Always, said Clint, and then both nodded. Clint launched his arrow and Naruto threw the axe towards the tanks. Clint's arrow was embedded in the neck of the tank on the left, and Naruto's axe was in the chest of the other. Then 2 seconds later both exploded. Clint's tank now had no head, and Naruto's, both his chest and head, had disappeared. The bodies of both tanks fell, dragging themselves to the ground until they were right on the stairs that lead to the porch at the entrance of the house. Well, that was all, said Clint. Let's go inside. Your family must be worried about you, said Naruto, to which Clint nodded. Of course, and that way you can explain to me better about those explosive papers, said Clint, to which Naruto nodded. So they both entered the house and went to the living room where everyone was gathered. Honey, are you okay? The woman asked as she went and hugged Clint, along with 2 boys and a girl. Yes, I'm fine, Laura, Clint said to his wife, now known as Laura. Are you all right? Lila, Cooper, Nathaniel Barton asked his children, who nodded. Are you okay, Naruto? And that blood? Natasha asked, a little worried. Yes, I'm fine, and don't worry, it's not my blood, it's one of those things, said Naruto, smiling and relieving Natasha a little, but intriguing Clint's wife and children since they didn't understand Naruto. What language does the boy speak? Laura asked Clint. He speaks Japanese. It was lucky that Natasha and I learned it for a mission we had many years ago, said Clint, and then turned his gaze to Natasha. You should have seen him. He took an axe and went head-in against the zombies. At least he killed about 30 like that, said Clint, smiling at how Natasha acted. 30? The children asked in surprise. There are many more than last time, said Laura, surprised. Well, that doesn't matter anymore. Now, why don't we go to dinner? It's getting dark and it would be dangerous to go out at night, said Clint, to which everyone nodded. Of course, and I agree, it's best to leave tomorrow morning, said Natasha, and so the group went to dinner. The dinner was quiet, some laughter at jokes or anecdotes from the past. This made Naruto smile, although he didn't understand them or not much, given that the English classes with Rika weren't that advanced because of all the issues they had at the base. He had progressed enough to understand some of the things they said. After finishing dinner, the children went to sleep, as did Laura, leaving only Clint, Natasha, and Naruto on the living room couches. And how did you get here? I didn't see or hear any car or plane. How did you get here? Clint asked. Well, it's complicated to explain, said Natasha, looking at Naruto. I'll just say that you'll know tomorrow, said Naruto, smiling sideways, to which Clint shrugged his shoulders. Okay, by the way, how is that paperwork possible? And what kind of powers do you have? Clint asked, intrigued. Well, seeing that you are Natasha's friend, I think I can trust you, said Naruto, and then told Clint about his ninja skills. In the end, Clint was surprised. Wow, that's a lot of skills. I don't think anyone in the Avengers had that many skills, said Clint, surprised. And that doesn't even include how we'll get back to Japan, Natasha said, smiling. Well, I'll know tomorrow. Now rest. I'm leaving. I'll go keep watch, said Clint, although he sighed at the end. Wake me up in 4 hours. I'll take second watch, said Naruto, to which Clint smiled and nodded. So it shall be, and thank you, said Clint, and then began to climb the stairs that led to the attic, through which one could exit and go up to the roof, where Clint already had a kind of grate to avoid the attacks of the flying mutant zombies. Good night, said Natasha, lying down on a sofa bed. Good night, said Naruto, lying down on another sofa, so they both fell asleep. Chapter 12. The day arrived in New York City, and in a certain cabin in the woods a group of survivors was waking up, although some had already woken up before the sun had risen, these being none other than Laura, Clint, Natasha, and obviously Naruto, since he was the last guard, but Clint had gone to call him to come down and give him a cup of coffee, this while Laura was preparing lunch. How did you sleep? Clint asked Natasha more than Naruto, but Naruto understood. Well, not like before all this, but rest, said Natasha, taking a sip from her cup of coffee. Well, I can say that I rested too, although it was a short time. I rested enough for today, said Naruto, also taking a sip of his coffee. I'm glad to hear that, and thanks for taking the guard last night. I really needed to rest, said Clint to Naruto, who nodded. Lunch will be ready in a few moments, dear. Please wake up the children, said Laura, to which Clint nodded and got up from the table where they were. Then he went to wake up his children. Thank you, Naruto and Natasha said in English. This surprised both Natasha and Clint, who managed to hear it before leaving the kitchen. Did you speak English? Natasha asked Naruto, but in Japanese. Yes, Rikishin has been teaching me. But because of the problems at the base and the missions we haven't been able to progress much, said Naruto with a nervous smile. I can help you with that too if you like. I think it would be easier for you to speak English and Japanese because of the survivors at the base, said Natasha, to which Naruto nodded, although Laura stayed away since they were speaking in Japanese. I would really appreciate it. This way I could solve the problems that arise between the survivors, since I don't think they are at peace with each other, said Naruto, to which Natasha had to accept that he was right. Also, that's why I asked you to teach me English, because that way she could focus on her work and rest more, said Naruto, remembering the times that Rika fell asleep in the middle of English classes with Naruto because she was too tired. Well, it's decided, said Natasha, smiling kindly, this at the same time that Clint arrived. And the children? Laura asked. They went to wash up, Clint replied, and then sat back down at the table. Now is it just me, or did I hear you thanking me in English before leaving the kitchen? Clint asked Naruto. Yes, I'd been learning it with one of the survivors from the base. Since she's from communications, I asked her to teach me English, but because of all the work we haven't been able to make much progress, said Naruto, to which Clint understood. Oh, tell me roughly how many survivors are there at the base? Clint asked. Well, initially there were almost 100, to that we had the 50 who left here and adding those who arrived day by day. I think we are around 250 or 300 survivors, answered Naruto, surprising Clint that there were so many in a single base. Well, you could say they are a village already, said Clint. You could say that, but sometimes more people keep arriving, said Naruto, remembering the several times survivors came to the safe zone. Well, changing the subject, do you already have your things that you will take? Asked Naruto to Clint, who nodded slightly. Yes, since I don't know yet how we will leave, we will only take some clothes and some souvenirs. What can fit in a suitcase for each of us, said Clint, to which Naruto smiled. Well, it's best to travel light, since we'll arrive at Tokunosu Airport, and from there we'll still have to travel a good stretch to get to the base, said Naruto, intriguing Clint. So we're going by plane? Clint asked, to which Naruto smiled. You'll see, said Naruto, making Natasha smile slightly when she saw Clint's intrigue. Okay, breakfast is ready. And you kids are just in time, said Laura, starting to put plates on the table, and the last thing when she saw her children arrive in the kitchen. Okay, let's have lunch before we go, said Clint, to which his children nodded, and Laura also sat at the table to have lunch with the group. After everyone had lunch, Clint and his family went to get their things while Natasha and Naruto would wait for them outside the house. The landscape is beautiful, isn't it? Natasha asked Naruto, since they were both looking towards the forest. Well, if we remove the zombie bodies, yes, it is a nice landscape, Naruto answered, and then looked at Natasha. Hey, are you really going to teach them that? Natasha asked Naruto. Yes, it's the only way to return to Japan quickly, said Naruto, to which Natasha had to agree. But before anyone could say anything else, a male voice was heard, accompanied by static. What is that? Naruto asked. No, the radio. I forgot I had a radio that I took before leaving on the library mission, said Natasha, taking a radio that she had on the back of her belt. How did I not notice that? Naruto asked himself, intrigued, while Natasha tried to grab the frequency so that it could be heard better. If there are soldiers outside, I ask for your help. Our base is being attacked, and we have civilian casualties. We are trying to contain them, but there are many of them. We need help, and Mr. Uzumaki, if you are listening to this, we ask for your help, please, said the man's voice. It's the White House frequency, Natasha said, surprised. Who is the man? I don't recognize his voice, asked Naruto. It's Nick Furies, the one in charge of the militia at the base, said Natasha. We must go, help, at least I must. I can't leave them to their fate, said Naruto seriously. But Clint and his family? Natasha asked. I'll leave them in a safe place and I'll come back for them after helping them, Naruto said seriously, only for Natasha to turn off the radio when she saw Clint's children leave. And Nat, where are we going? Asked Lila, to which Natasha smiled and answered. We will go to Japan. There they will be very safe since there is a very secure base that no zombie will be able to penetrate, Natasha said to her friend's daughter. And what will we go in? Cooper asked, seeing neither a car nor a plane. Well, that will be something that will surprise them, and maybe at first I will scare them a little, answered Natasha. By the way, what about your dad? She asked, only for the children to point him inside the house. She's preparing some things in the kitchen, said Nathaniel, to which Natasha felt. Okay, wait here, I'll go get your parents, said Natasha, to which the children nodded and Natasha entered the house. Clint and Laura were finishing putting away the remaining provisions, as now was not the time to allow food to spoil. Have you put away the cans of tuna yet? Clint asked his wife. Yes, have you already saved the leftover bottled water? Laura asked her husband. Nope, I thought you were going to do it. I put the meats in the cooler. But don't worry, I'll do it now, said Clint, and then took the waters out of the refrigerator and put them in a cooler too. Clint, do you have a moment? Natasha asked as she entered the kitchen and watched the two husbands put some things away. Come on, I'll finish, said Laura, to which Clint nodded. Sure, what's it about? Clint asked, to which Natasha signaled him to follow her, which he did, and they went to the living room to talk in private. What's wrong? Clint asked, only for Natasha to take out the radio and turn it on at low volume. Listen, said Natasha, and then gave it to Clint, who apparently heard the message from Nick Fury, and when he did so he became serious. Is this real? Clint asked, to which Natasha nodded. Yes, Naruto said he wants to help them and see if he can rescue some if there are any left, said Natasha. I understand that and I would help you, but I can't put my family in danger, said Clint seriously. Naruto plans to leave you in a safe place with your family and go alone to rescue them, said Natasha. What? That's crazy. Even if there were soldiers, it's still unlikely he could get the survivors out alone, said Clint. Believe me, you won't say the same thing when you see how we're going to leave, said Natasha. Why don't you just tell me? Clint asked. It's just that if I tell you, you won't believe me. That's why I prefer that you see it for yourself. Believe me, it's nothing you've been able to see in all these years, said Natasha. Okay, I'll finish packing quickly and we'll go, said Clint, to which Natasha nodded and then left with Naruto, and Clint went back to help finish packing. After about 20 minutes, Clint and Laura came out with a suitcase and 2 coolers each. This is what we had for supplies, it's not a big deal. But I trust it'll help where we're going, said Clint, to which Naruto smiled. It'll do, now let me store your luggage for you, said Naruto, taking out a scroll from his jacket. At this Natasha smiled, but Clint and his family were intrigued, and even more so when they saw him place the scroll on the ground and then spread it out. Put all your luggage on the scroll, please, said Naruto, to which they all did so with doubt, when they left their luggage. They stepped back a few steps and then Naruto made a hand seal only for the luggage to disappear in a puff of smoke. What the hell? Clint asked, surprised. Exactly the same face I made the first time I saw him, Natasha said with a smile when she saw Clint and his family's faces. How did you do that? Lila asked, surprised. Are you a magician? Cooper asked. Can you teach me how to do it? Nathaniel asked. This is an ability of mine, and no, I'm not a magician, I'm a ninja, and this is called Fuinjutsu. With it I can do several things, among which is sealing things in a scroll, and no, unfortunately it can't be taught. It's an ability that I can do thanks to the energy with which I was born, which is called chakra, said Naruto, although by the last thing disappointing the children. Well, leaving that aside, how are we going to leave? Clint asked. Now you'll see, maybe I'll scare you at first, but don't worry, I won't hurt you, said Naruto, and then started to walk away. Clint's family was going to follow him, but Natasha stopped them. I wouldn't come near you if I were you, said Natasha, intriguing the family, who decided to follow Natasha's advice and stay a little far away. They saw Naruto walk several meters away from them. Why is he moving so far away? Laura asked when she saw that Naruto was already at least 30 meters away. But exactly when she asked, they saw Naruto emanate a golden aura that then his appearance changed. I won't describe it, so I'll just say that it was his Azura form. It's like the scarlet candle, but it emanates energy throughout its body, and even its clothes change, said Clint, surprised. But then they saw that this energy began to expand even more outside of its body, that began to grow and grow, taking shape. But what? Laura expressed with surprise, seeing how the aura began to take shape. In the end, they saw in front of them a giant 9-tailed fox which easily measured about 30 meters, if not more. Ready to go? Asked the giant fox with a deep voice, scaring those present. I told you that it would scare you at first, but look closely at the fox's head. Inside it you will be able to see Naruto, said Natasha, to which they all did, noticing that it was true. In the fox's head, or rather inside it, was Naruto. Come on, what are you waiting for, said Natasha, already being in the fox's hand, which to everyone's surprise raised it to his head and released it, causing it to enter the fox's head as well. That's incredible, Nathaniel said as Kurama lowered his hand again. Come on, it's time to go, said the fox, only for the family to get on the hand. After everyone got on, Kurama did the same act as with Natasha, only a little further back. When everyone was inside the head of the fox made of chakra, Naruto turned to look at them. Everything ready? If so, let's go, said Naruto. Well, it will be a long trip, while this giant fox takes us to Japan walking, said Clint, to which Natasha laughed slightly and Naruto smiled too. First of all, his name is Kurama, said Naruto, referring to the fox, and second, who said he was walking? After that, Kurama took a big leap and then began to fly. They headed towards the city of Washington, D.C. Is there anything else I should know about you? Clint asked Naruto, who just smiled. I lead the Japanese base, said Naruto, generating a gesture of confusion in Clint. And what's so surprising about that? Clint suggested. I'm only 18 years old, Naruto smiled when he saw Clint's surprised face. I think I won't ask anything else, said Clint, generating some laughter from everyone. 20 minutes later. Kurama was arriving at the city of Washington, D.C., and from the height they were at, the White House could be seen on fire. Naruto, Clint called, to which he looked at him over his shoulder. Yes? Naruto asked. Just leave them in their safe place. You'll need all the help you can get. Plus I know you'll bring Natasha to be your translator, said Clint, to which Naruto quickly understood what he meant. Don't worry, Clint. It won't be necessary. I just remembered something that doesn't need me to leave them in a safe place since they won't be in danger, said Naruto, smiling. Let's go, Kurama, said Naruto, to which Jiraiya roared and then accelerated more towards the White House. In the White House, Nick Fury was desperate. In all his years of being a spy and secret agent, he had never overlooked anything suspicious about a person, but now for the first time he failed to detect them, because they had given lodging to a pregnant woman. But it was 2 days later when he arrived. He distracted the guards at the door, and thanks to that a garbage truck rammed into it, thus opening it. Many bandits entered and killed many soldiers and civilians, but fortunately they managed to finish them off. The problem was that both the sound of the shots and the sound of the screams and the truck ramming into the gate caught the attention of hundreds of zombies, which upon entering were received by gunfire from the remaining soldiers. However, the ammunition was already scarce, and they were running out of it. With this, the zombies were able to enter more into the White House. The president made a choice, probably the best choice he could have made in his entire life, which was an order given to Nick: protect the civilians at all costs. If Mr. Uzumaki arrives in time, at least they can save them. I don't plan on dying of old age lying in a bed wearing diapers. If I die, I prefer it to be fighting for the lives of my citizens. And after those words, the president took a shotgun, and together with a general who carried a revolver and a machete, they went out to kill zombies. Where are the president and General Castro? A soldier asked Nick, who looked at him seriously. The president ordered us to keep civilians safe while help arrives, Nick said. Help from whom? Asked the same soldier. Mr. Harold helped me contact the Japanese base. Thanks to that, I knew that Mr. Uzumaki was heading to the United States, so I made a recording which I left playing so that you can listen to it. We're counting on him to come, said Nick. But what about President Kennedy and General Castro? Asked the soldier. The president told me something before leaving. I don't plan on dying of old age lying in a bed wearing diapers. If I die, I prefer it to be fighting for the lives of my citizens, Nick answered before leaving to see the resistance line where the zombies were contained until help arrived. But what the hell? Nick exclaimed as he saw 4 fireballs hit the patio of the White House where the large group of zombies was gathered, which after the attack were turned to ashes. But when he looked at the sky, he could see a giant 9-tailed fox with a golden color and some black lines. What the hell is that? Nick wondered. With Naruto. Okay, I've cleaned the yard as much as I can without damaging the shelter, said Naruto, and then made his classic hand seal, and 8 clones in their normal state appeared next to him. Go and finish off all the remaining zombies, said Naruto, to which his clones smiled and jumped off the giant Kurama. But during the fall, these 8 clones took on beastly features again. Let's have fun once again, said the Narutos, although with a different tone of voice since they had been possessed by the Bijus. Upon falling to the ground, the Bijus began to massacre the zombies. But this time they used jutsus and the Onmyotan to create a katana each, and with this katana they began the massacre because in addition to the katana they also used their own chakra to generate the red chakra cloak, which they used to create giant hands with which they broke the heads of the zombies. They took them and crashed them together, and then sent them flying or crushed them. Natasha, get ready, let's go, said Naruto, creating a with which he appeared with the same transformation as him, that is, the Azura mode. Take care of the transformation in Kurama, Naruto said to his clone Kurama. Change to my clone please, Naruto said mentally. I'll take care of it, just hurry up, we still have a long way to go, said Kurama seriously, to which Naruto mentally nodded. Okay, ready? Naruto asked, looking at Natasha, who nodded, and Naruto took her by the waist. Okay, then let's go, said Naruto, and then jumped out of the Kurama made of chakra and fell in free fall. At this, Natasha would be afraid if it weren't because she knew that Naruto could fly with that transformation of his. Naruto was going at high speed in free fall with Natasha in his arms. Just when he was 30 meters from the ground, Naruto quickly slowed down and landed on the ground where his clones controlled by the Bijus had already finished off the zombies. Also, they did not enter through the doors since 4 of the controlled clones were to take care of those who were entering, while the other 4 took care of those who had already entered. And in addition to that, they entered the White House and finished off the zombies inside. Are you guys done? Naruto asked when he saw the 3 clones of himself that were controlled by the Bijus, these being Aisabu, Sun, and Seiken. Yes, only Gyuki is taking care of the remaining ones inside this base. We will go help the others to prevent the other zombies from entering, said Sun, to which Naruto nodded. Well, thanks for clearing the way. Have fun with the rest who are trying to get in, said Naruto, to which the clones smiled. Sure, take your time, said Aisabu, and then the 3 of them went to continue masking zombies. Let's go, let's get to the survivors. Nick Fury was shooting at the remaining zombies because it seemed that they suddenly stopped arriving in large numbers. This surprised him because he didn't know if help had arrived or what was happening, because of the shots or something like that, until they saw a zombie die without anyone shooting at him. Cease fire, ordered Nick, to which all the soldiers stopped shooting only to realize that the zombies continued to fall dead. Commander Fury called a voice familiar to the man. Miss Romanoff? Fury asked. Just a few seconds later, Naruto and Natasha arrived, although on the way they met the clone that Gyuki controlled, and Naruto told him that he would take care of it from then on, to which Gyuki nodded and went to be with his brothers. Where are the reinforcements? A soldier asked the 2 newcomers. We are the reinforcements, said Natasha, intriguing the military. Are you telling me that you 2 alone were in charge of eliminating hundreds of zombies? asked the soldier. It was practically just him, said Natasha, then looked back at Fury. What happened here? Asked Natasha, to which Fury told her what happened, including the president's decision. If we saw him on the way, he had become one of them, said Natasha, which surprised several. And General Castro? Another soldier asked. Was someone talking about me? Asked a man wearing a green military uniform and speaking in a Cuban-like tone. Yes, I know what you'll say, but I don't know what you'll say. But for me, General Castro from Bio Zombies was my favorite, and I think that game couldn't be missing from a zombie story. How did you survive and not the president? Fury asked, not knowing whether to smile at seeing one of his friends alive or feel melancholy at learning that the president had died. We split up to cover more ground. From there I don't know what happened. I finished off whoever I could, but then this guy came and saved me, said Castro. By the way, who is he? Asked Fury, looking at Naruto. He is Uzumaki Naruto, the leader of the base in Japan, said Natasha, which surprised Fury. I had heard from Harold that you were 17 or 18 years old, but I didn't believe it was true, said Nick, surprised, at which Natasha translated for him. Actually, I'm 18, but all the people at the base trust me to protect them. That's why I'm still the leader, Naruto replied, to which Natasha translated for everyone. Very long talk, it would be best to leave. How many civilians survived? Natasha said and asked Fury. We were 100, now there are only 63 left, said Fury with regret. That's almost half, but well, on the way you explained to me how it happened. Now is there a bus or truck where everyone can fit? Asked Natasha, to which Nick nodded. Yes, we had 3 buses at the back of the White House, but they are almost out of fuel. They wouldn't last even 2 kilometers before stopping, Fury answered, to which Natasha smiled slightly. It won't be necessary. Now take those trucks out to the front yard and put everyone in them. The fewer trucks you use, the better, said Natasha, to which Nick nodded. Okay, you heard her. Get to work, boys. You, take 3 men with you and bring 2 buses and take the fuel from the third. You and you, gather the surviving civilians and tell them to prepare to leave, said Fury, pointing first to a soldier and then pointing to 2 others. The soldiers nodded and left to do their errands. Where's the radio? Naruto asked, to which Natasha translated for Fury, who signaled them to follow him and then led them to where the radio was. That's it, it's already on the channel. Just turn it on, said Nick to Natasha, who nodded and turned it on, and then gave the microphone to Naruto. Yes, this is the base of the city of Tokanosa, said the voice of a girl. Yes, I just found out that it takes place in that city, so I will later correct that part of the chapter where I put another city. Umi, I'm Naruto, is Rikishin there? Naruto asked Umi, who was covering Konan when Naruto left the base, and both Konan and Mikoto took the leadership of the base. Yes, I'm here. What's wrong? Rika asked happily, knowing that Naruto was okay. Tell me, how many houses are left free? Naruto asked. I don't know, about 15 or 20 empty houses. Why, what happened? Ria asked, somewhat intrigued. The White House fell and the president died. Now I will take 63 survivors to the base, said Naruto, which surprised Rika. There are quite a few, but it's okay. We'll be waiting for you with everything ready, said Rika, to which Naruto nodded with a hum. Okay, we'll arrive in a few hours, said Naruto, and then finished. Okay, everything is ready. You will be assigned houses upon arrival. But any weapons you bring will be collected upon arrival at the base, since only guards can carry them, and the assigned houses should be shared by at least 4 people, said Naruto, to which Natasha translated for Fury, who simply nodded to the boys' terms since they had no other choice if they wanted to survive. I agree, said Fury, and then a soldier arrived. Sir, the trucks are already in the front yard, said a soldier, to which Fury nodded. Okay, Get the civilians on board and the military last, said Fury, to which everyone nodded, and so they began to mobilize the civilians. Okay, I'll go by our means of transportation, said Naruto, walking towards the exit of the base. Natasha, are the rumors true? How secure is your base? Nick asked seriously. They are true, it is very safe, and they are expanding it more every day. They have solid rock walls of more than 30 meters already. The radius is about 20 streets, and over the entire base there is a kind of fence that prevents flying mutants from entering, said Natasha, to which Nick sighed. It's good to hear that those rumors were true. Now at least everyone can rest more safely, said Nick, to which Natasha nodded. Sir, you have to come see this, said an alarmed soldier. What's wrong? Fury asked. It's a giant beast, said the soldier. Oh, so he went for Kurama, said Natasha, smiling. Kurama? What do you mean? Fury asked. To our means of transport, said Natasha, smiling. Let's see, said Fury, somewhat intrigued after Natasha's response. When leaving, Fury opened his only eye as wide as he could as he saw how in the front yard there was a huge 9-tailed fox made of a strange energy. All the soldiers were aiming at the beast. Ha ha ha, humans, do you really think those toys can hurt me? Said Kurama, surprising everyone that the fox spoke. Lower your weapons, it won't hurt us, Natasha said to all the soldiers, who looked at Fury, who nodded, and the soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. Sir, all the civilians are already inside the trucks and only we are left, said the soldier, referring to them and the soldiers who were aiming at Kurama. Okay, let's get on the trucks, Miss Romanoff, let's go, said Nick, starting to walk to the trucks. Sorry, Fury, but I'll go separately, said Natasha, only for Kurama to grab her and put her back in the same place since Naruto was once again inside Kurama's head. Once everyone was ready, Kurama stretched out his hands and then took both trucks and lifted them off the ground. Okay, Kurama, let's go home, said Naruto, to which Kurama felt and began to fly. Although with his hands he protected the trucks from the wind, since at the speed they were going it was very possible that the crystals would explode. In the afternoon of that same day. The trip had lasted quite a while since they couldn't go at super match speed because of the buses that Kurama was carrying in his hands, but even so that doesn't take away the fact that, if they had gone at a high speed, it was now 3 in the afternoon and Naruto was arriving at the city of Tokanosu. But what the hell? Naruto asked himself from the air, even though he saw that in his base there were a couple of houses on fire and a large number of people in the courtyard of the mansion which had the gates closed, and outside of it there was a mob with weapons. Dad, it seems there were problems while you were gone, Naruto, said Kurama to Naruto, who became serious. Kurama, straight to the base, forget about landing at the airport. I think I know who it is, Naruto said seriously, to which Kurama smiled dangerously. It will be, and I'm not surprised that they acted now, said Kurama, and then defended in the direction of the base. This intrigued all the survivors, including Natasha, although later she saw that they were heading to the base, and seeing what Naruto saw she also became serious. The giant Kurama landed just outside the base walls, leaving the trucks neatly parked on the street, and undid his fox transformation, but kept his Azura mode. Naruto, what's wrong? Clint asked, seeing Naruto's seriousness and also seeing what happened at the base. A revolt, or as the pirates would say, mutiny, said Naruto, and then ran towards the doors of the base, and without asking or anything, he knocked them down in one fell swoop. After that he quickly ran towards the base. Clint, bring the survivors and tell them to wait. It seems there was a problem, said Natasha, and then she entered a random garage and luckily there was a car in it, so she got in and started driving towards where Naruto was going. At the gate of the mansion. Open the doors if you know what's good for you, said a boy who was carrying a gun and pointing it at an elderly man. Do it or they die, said another boy who had a man of about 30 years old as a hostage and also pointed a gun at him. It should be said that next to these two boys were the 12 boys who had plotted to take over the base the day they arrived at it, and like the first two boys, these had several civilians, both Japanese and Americans, using them as human shields to prevent them from being shot. "You have up to 3 to open the doors or they die," said the boy who seemed to be the leader. "And you too can lower your weapons," said a dark voice behind all the boys. One of them looked back only to see Naruto with fury in his eyes. "What did you say, idiot?" "I don't speak nonsense," the boy said mockingly. "He just said that you only have up to 2 to lower your weapons," said one of the Japanese hostages, who was apparently a boy with glasses who looked like a university student. "Ha ha, really? And he's going to stop us from killing them all?" asked the boy who turned around, this at the same time that Natasha arrived, stopping the car suddenly. When she got out of the car, she saw that some of the young survivors she had brought had several civilians hostage, among whom was also Steve, who was very beaten and unconscious apparently. "Look, the beauty has arrived," said a boy lustfully, looking at Natasha from top to bottom. "What do you think you're doing? Let those kids go," Natasha said, annoyed. "We won't do it, and don't try anything, because with just one shot heard, other people will execute the other hostages we have in one of the houses on the base," said the leader, smiling psychopathically. "Why are you doing this?" Natasha asked. "Because it is obvious, we are the ones who deserve to be in charge of this base. We are Americans, we are the most powerful in the world. We cannot simply lower ourselves to be lackeys of someone inferior to us," said the leader arrogantly. "American, well, it seems you feel very arrogant, boy, but I'd bet you are so arrogant that you don't even know what country you lived in," said Rika from behind the gate. "It's obvious, he lived in the American country," said the boy, to which many made fun of him. "America is a continent, not an idiot country," Yuriko said mockingly. "What an ego these kids have," said a coach, clearly ashamed of coming from the same country as those kids, or rather, he was ashamed that they were Americans. "Enough, no more teasing, they refuse to open the doors, so now we will kill these men," said the leader. But before they could do anything, some rock walls enclosed the hostages, leaving the 12 boys outside of these. "But what the hell?" asked one of the 12 boys, only to hear Naruto speaking and Natasha translating at the same time. "Wow, look, it seems that they ran out of hostages because they were talking, but the truth is I must thank them. If I hadn't had such a big ego and such high confidence, I wouldn't have been able to execute my technique," said Naruto as he approached the boys who pointed their weapons at Naruto. "Don't even think about it or you'll die here," said Rika while the guards pointed their weapons at the boys. But Naruto made a gesture with his hand. "I'll take care of it," Naruto said, cracking his knuckles. "It seems you're looking for a fight, boy," said the leader upon hearing Natasha translate what Naruto said. "Shoot," said the leader, to which the boys fired. "It's useless," said Naruto, quickly extending his hand forward. "Shinra Tensei," exclaimed Naruto, and using only 2% of his power he created a shock wave that stopped all the bullets, and sent the boys flying. "Magnetic element, great magnet," exclaimed Naruto, and using a little of Shikaku's chakra he made the boys' weapons go to his hand, where once he had them he threw them to Natasha, who caught them safely since it seemed they were all empty already. "What the hell was that?" asked the leader. "I don't know, but that boy isn't normal. He must be a mutant," said another boy. "Hee, that's how it should be, but well, not all mutants have enough balls to fight without their powers," said another boy, which annoyed those present. "Why do I feel like she offended me?" "Natasha, what did she say?" Naruto asked, to which Natasha translated, and Naruto smiled maliciously only to detransform and be in his base form now, and without the Rinnegan. "Okay, tell them who will be the first. I won't use my powers, just bare fists," said Naruto, to which Natasha got a little worried, but the survivors who knew Naruto smiled and felt sorry for the boys for what would happen to them. Natasha still translated for them, only for the boys to all launch themselves against Naruto. Wow, and they say that I'm the one who doesn't have balls. Naruto ran towards the boys too, and when he arrived he jumped, kicking a boy in the chest, sending him flying a few meters only to be surrounded by the remaining 11 boys who took some knives out of their pockets. "This lost damn idiot, now we will finish you off," said one of the 11 boys. "Wow, looks like I brought my fists to a knife fight, because of knives," said Naruto, smiling defiantly. The boys saw this and got upset. They instantly attacked Naruto, trying to stab him. "Let's dance then," said Naruto before jumping into the air and grabbing one of the boys by the arm, pulling him. While defending, he used force to pull the boy and slam him against the ground. Naruto then quickly turned around only to deflect 2 knife blows with his hands and quickly hit the chin of the 2 boys, which slightly raised them in the air, and quickly punched them in the stomachs, thus throwing them to 2 more boys who were going towards him, which were unconscious since when falling they hit their heads hard. 6 less, 6 to go," said Naruto, then run towards a boy who was on his right. When he arrived with the tube he dodged with a cut to his side, but quickly took his hand and twisted it, causing him to drop the knife. But he couldn't do more since his attention was due to seeing another boy attack him from his left side. But the result was the same, a twisted arm leaving him unarmed. "I know what to do with you too. I called this movement," said Naruto as he released the 2 boys and took them by the head with one hand. He lifted them a little in the air and smiled maliciously. "Now kiss," said Naruto, only to then slam the faces of the 2 boys against each other and causing the 2 boys to kiss, although in such an abrupt manner that he broke a tooth and knocked 2 out of both boys. After that Naruto released them and turned only to receive a stab in the right pectoral from one of the 4 remaining boys. "You got too confident, idiot," said the boy, smiling arrogantly and triumphantly. Naruto noticed this and smiled. "Never think you've beaten your opponent until they are unconscious," said Naruto, then headbutted the boy, stunning him a little and causing him to take a few steps back. Naruto then took the knife from his chest and threw it at the boy's leg, where it stuck and caused the boy to cry out in pain. "Good night," said Naruto, then kneed the boy in the face, destroying his nose and leaving him unconscious. 9 less 3 to go, said Naruto, only to quickly duck, dodging the 3 knife blows that were going towards his back. He quickly gave a sweeping kick that made the 3 boys fall. "You know, today was a very tiring day, so I don't have time to waste with garbage like you. I must solve the shit you caused," said Naruto, only for one of the boys to get upset and stand up ready to stab Naruto in front, who looked at him in disbelief as he easily took the knife from the boy and with a blow to the face he left him KO. Seeing this, the last 2 boys dropped the knives and raised their hands. "We surrender," both boys said with fear when they saw that they could not do anything to the boy in front of them, even though they were armed and he only used his fists. And although one of them managed to hurt him, it was only by luck. "Good," said Naruto, seeing the world an interdimensional gesture of surrender. After that Naruto created 2 clones which lifted the 2 boys and made them walk following Naruto. "Wow, he has good combat skills. I thought he only had magical abilities like Wanda, but I was wrong. He is equal to or stronger than the captain in hand-to-hand combat," Natasha thought, surprised as she followed Naruto, who was reaching the gate of the mansion, which opened, and out came Rika, Yuriko, Siko and Takashi along with several armed men. "Naruto, are you okay?" Siko asked with concern. "Yes, Sika-kan, I'm fine. What happened here?" asked Naruto. "Well, the truth is exactly an hour ago all the civilians started to arrive running, saying that some kids were bringing firearms and hostages, and because of that we all got worried. We brought all the civilians who managed to get there, and we closed the gates. When those kids arrived we saw that they were bringing hostages and we didn't shoot so as not to hurt them," said Rika sincerely. "I see, but what about Makoto-kan, Kaguya-kan and Kananshin, what happened to them?" Naruto asked, somewhat worried. Kaguya and Konan went to help a distress call from some survivors who said they were trapped on the roof of a building that was full of zombies inside, so the only way to get them out was by air, so they went there too, said Rika, and then got serious. But Maikoto-san, she was given a powerful sleeping pill in a drink. Apparently one of these guys managed to sneak into the warehouse and took some very strong sleeping pills from the pile that we hadn't sorted yet, and then he gave them to Makoto. "Dissolved in water," said Rika, to which Naruto nodded, a little relieved that Makoto was okay. I see. Well, we have to fix these kids' mess. That reminds me, said Naruto, and then with a hand seal he freed the hostages who were locked in the rock room he had created around them, although with the top part uncovered so as not to drown them. Those boys said they had more hostages and that they would kill them if they heard gunshots, said an alarmed guard. Don't worry, that was a lie. When he arrived at the base I sent several clones to search all the houses and it turns out there were no more hostages. Only families or civilians who didn't make it here and took refuge in those houses, said Naruto, relieving everyone. Now what are we going to do with them? Asked Takashi, looking at the boys. Lock them up in the same place where we had Shido. I'll talk to Ada and Natasha later to decide what to do with them. But one thing is certain, and that is that they can't stay in this base, said Naruto seriously. At those words some guards began to pick up the boys and take them to the room where they had kept Koichi Shido prisoner. Well, changing the subject, what about the other survivors you said you would bring? Yuriko asked Naruto, who remembered them. I told them to wait at the gates of the walls, so they should be there, said Natasha, arriving with the group, although bringing Steve helping him walk since it seemed he was already conscious again. Okay, let's go for them. Takashi, Hirano, take Steve to Shizukavan to treat him, said Naruto, to which Takashi nodded, and from among the crowd of those who were at the gate Hirano came out to help Takashi. The other survivors can now return to their homes. There is no longer any danger, said Naruto, because it was true that he sent some clones in which he arrived at the gate of the mansion, and one of those clones used Sueton to put out the fires in the houses that were only 3. After that Naruto and Natasha headed towards the entrance of the walls where all the American survivors were waiting for them. Note: here Natasha and Clint will translate what Naruto and Nick or any American survivor say. This is to avoid me putting Natasha translated or Clint translated, since this way I avoid repeating the same thing since it is tedious and boring for you. What happened? Is everything okay? We heard gunshots, he said, and asked Fury. Yes, just that, said Natasha before sighing. Some young survivors of those sent on the plane a few days ago with us mutinied and took hostages, threatening them with firearms. But fortunately no one was hurt. Well, no one besides the boys who mutinied, said Natasha, surprising those present. What do you mean they mutinied? Why? Fury asked curiously. Apparently, since we arrived, they had planned to keep this base to lead themselves, because they did not want to follow orders, since they thought that just because they were Americans, everyone should obey them since they belonged to the most powerful nation in the world, said Natasha, leaving Fury and everyone else with a face of, well, are you an idiot or what, son? Ha, what stupid brats! Look at them believing that the United States is the most powerful nation in the world, even though they don't want to admit it. Even with Stark on our side before, Russia was superior to us, said Clint. He's right, that's why we were there. SHIELD was going to be the defense against Russia if one day they decided to attack us, said Nick sincerely. What did they do to the boys? Clint asked, to which Naruto smiled. I beat them up in a fight, me with my bare fists and them with knives. After that I ordered them to be taken to a temporary prison right here, said Naruto with a half-smile. Great decision, kid. But well, now that the military has arrived we will take charge of the base in your place, said one of the military men, speaking first. No way, said Fury, getting everyone's attention. Here we are the refugees, and we will be under the orders of this boy. We are not in our country to do what we want. Besides, they have a safe place and supplies, which is what we need most. I hope and have understood, said Fury, looking at all the soldiers with his only eye. Yes, sir, said all the soldiers after what Nick said. So, boy, we will be at your command, said Fury, looking at Naruto, who nodded seriously. Okay, let's go in, we'll walk, and we'll leave the trucks here, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded and entered through the door in the walls. Everyone looked surprised at what they saw, because although they saw the walls of almost 30 meters from the outside, they were even more surprised to see that inside it looked like a town, because there were many houses inside this secure base which apparently had a circular shape. In addition, a large metal fence was like a dome, but they were so thin. That they looked like rods, and this let the sunlight and in turn the wind pass through. Naruto led the group of survivors to the mansion, but left a clone which he created a few meters away from him, enough so that no American would notice him. The clone goes to repair, or rather to raise, other metal doors in the walls since the original had destroyed said doors upon arriving. The group that was guided by Naruto arrived at the gate of the mansion, where on the way they saw several survivors retreat to their respective shelters. Once they arrived at the gate, Naruto called 2 men and stopped, so all the Americans also stopped. Okay, from here we will take away your weapons. Please give the weapons to these 2 men with me. They will take them to the armory where they will be kept for greater security, said Naruto, to which Natasha, when translating, caused the military to frown. What? No way, we will not hand over our weapons, said a soldier, to which Naruto became serious since Natasha had translated it for him. Natasha and Clint are still translating. No one except the guards has firearms, or any kind of weapons, and in this base we do not give favoritism, said Naruto seriously. Well, I'm sorry, but the soldier didn't finish speaking when he saw General Castro hand over his revolver and machete to one of the 2 men. Do it, leave your weapons, said Fury seriously, to which the soldiers did reluctantly. After the soldiers handed over their weapons, the 2 men went to put them away. Why did he stay without his bow? Another soldier asked, seeing Clint with his bow and quiver of arrows on his back. He and I came to an agreement over the radio. In exchange for bringing him to this base and giving asylum to his family, he would become one of the guards of this place. That's why he keeps his weapon. Plus, we already fought the zombies together, and I stayed one night at his house. So I trust him, since I know that he wouldn't do anything to harm his family. Or rather, no man would do it, said Naruto, to which Clint and several other civilians nodded in agreement with Naruto's words. Okay, now on this gate you can see 2 signs, one in Japanese and another recently put in English. Those are the rules of this base, and I hope you follow them. Read them while I go back. I'll go see what houses are still available, since they will be the ones we relocate you to, said Naruto before leaving for the mansion. 20 minutes later. Naruto returned to the survivors, although a slight smile was noticeable on his face. The reason for that? Well, this was because he had gone to see Mikoto, and with a little chakra from the bijus he managed to undo the toxin from the pills that make you sleep, which is why Mikoto had woken up, which made Naruto happy. But he told her that they would talk later because now he had a group of survivors to relocate. Mikoto understood and nodded just to go do her daily duties, but she didn't leave without first kissing Naruto on the lips and giving him a loving smile. Okay, I already have the place where I will relocate you, but I inform you that you will have to share the same house with people, since at this moment we do not have more empty houses, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded in understanding. Okay, now follow me and I will take you to where you will stay, said Naruto, only to start walking, being followed by the new survivors. Naruto, did you notice? Asked Kurama with a smile. Yes, Kurama. Although the military is angry for having stripped them of their weapons, none of this group has bad intentions, Naruto answered in his mind. Finally, we will have peace inside the base, or at least after deciding what you will do with those kids, although as you said, it is certain that they will not stay in this base, said Kurama with a foxy smile, to which Naruto nodded. I know, Kurama. Now no one will be in danger once we take care of those kids, said Naruto, to which Kurama began to give him ideas on how to kill the kids or how to leave them, and where outside the base. Okay, boy, decide between all the ideas I gave you. I'll go to sleep now like all my brothers. After all, inside the base you don't need us. Besides, you have complete control of our chakra, so if you need us, just use the one of whoever you need help with, and that way whoever you need will wake up, said Kurama, to which Nada thanked him and nodded mentally. Thanks, friend, I will do so, and rest, said Naruto, only for Kurama to go to sleep while he accommodated the new survivors. Chapter 13. Naruto had finished relocating the new survivors. Now Naruto was talking to Konan and Kaguya, who arrived half an hour after he settled the new survivors. although the two women were worried about Mikoto when they heard what had happened, but they were relieved to know that she was okay and that it was only a matter of hours before she woke up. She also told them what some surviving boys from the United States had done. This angered them a little, but Naruto said that a meeting was going to be held to find out what would be done with the boys, whether they were left to their fate far from the base or killed, but what was certain was that they could not stay at the base. But if you didn't say it wrong, two of them gave up, that means they understood their place, right? Kagaya asked, to which Naruto denied. Yes, but no, even though they surrendered, I could still feel a lot of hatred inside them, said Naruto seriously. So they were just acting? Conan asked, to which Naruto nodded. That's right, in a few hours a meeting will be held to decide what will be done with them, and of course, we will let the leaders of the United States here at this base vote on what to do with those kids, said Naruto. Leaders? Conan asked with a raised eyebrow. Yes, Natasha, Ada, and recently the one who was the commander of the American Army, Nick Fury, and another man who is a friend of Natasha who gained my trust, said Naruto, to which the two women were impressed that someone gained Naruto's trust in a single day. Naruto-kun, Conan, Kagaya, are you in there? Asked a familiar voice for the three. Mikoto-kan, Mikoto, said the three when they saw the aforementioned enter the room. How long have you been here? Mikoto asked with a hand on her head because it hurt a little. She went to an armchair and sat down only for Naruto to offer her a glass of water, which Mikoto accepted. We arrived Numenon an hour ago, Naruto replied. What happened to me? My head hurts a lot, said Mikoto, and then took a drink of water. Apparently they gave you a sleeping pill, but it was something strong according to what Shizuka-kun told me. Those pills are for people who haven't slept for days, and that pill is very strong for that reason, said Naruto, standing up and walking towards Mikoto. That would explain why my head hurts, said Mikoto, only to feel Naruto's hand on her head. Then a slight green chakra appeared, and after a few seconds it disappeared. When did you learn medical ninjutsu? Conan asked, a little intrigued. I've been training in my mental space at night with Matatabi, Saiken, and Koko, said Naruto. You never stopped training, right? Kagaya asked, only for Naruto to deny it. Well, after all, it is my responsibility to return us to our dimension, or at least to you, said Naruto. What do you mean by that? Conan asked. I've decided, even if I manage to open a portal to our world, I'll stay here. After all, I can't leave these people to their fate, after having come so far, said Naruto seriously. In that case, said Mikoto, standing up. Us, said Conan in the same way. We'll stay here with you, said Kagaya, only for Mikoto to kiss Naruto on the lips, who was surprised. And that's because he couldn't finish, because he was then kissed by Conan. So he didn't finish again because now Kagaya kissed him. We decided it since the dinner we had a few days ago, said Mikoto, seeing Naruto's confused face. We knew since we arrived in this dimension that we had little chance of returning. That's why we didn't get our hopes up too much, said Mikoto with a half smile. We also came to the conclusion that to repopulate the world and prevent humanity from being parked in this dimension, polygamy would be necessary, and that is why we decided to share you, well, of course, as long as you accept us, said Kagaya, a little embarrassed. Girls, are you sure? I mean, you deserve more than this fool. You deserve someone who can give you his complete love and not someone who you have to share his love with. More girls, said Naruto, only for the three girls to smile warmly. We know that you will love us equally. After all, we have known you for a long time. That is why we know that you could not choose one over the other, said Conan. Girls, thank you. I promise to make you happy and protect you with my life from everything, said Naruto, hugging the three girls. We know, Naruto-kun, and we will do our best to support you in everything you decide, said Kagaya, and after a few seconds the three of them separate. Naruto-kun, one of the Americans is looking for you, said Siko, arriving at the living room. Okay, I'm going, said Naruto, and then looked at the girls. Go, it's time for the leader to take care of his business, said Makoto with a smile. We'll go see what we can do to help, said Conan. I think I'll go supervise the cattle you left hidden a bit far from here, said Kaguya. Okay, I'll see you girls later, said Naruto, to which the girls nodded and disappeared into Shunsin. Okay, Sika-kan, take me to him, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded, not without first kissing Naruto's lips. How many more are in on this? Naruto asked with a half-smile. You'll have to find out, darling, but I'll just tell you that from what I've noticed, you have about 6 more girls apart from Rika, Yuriko, Makoto, Conan, Kaguya and me, of course, said Siko with a mischievous smile. Wow, I don't know what I did to deserve all of your love. I think I'm the luckiest man in the world, said Naruto, to which Siko smiled and crossed her arms behind Naruto's neck. Well, they say that a good man is identified by his actions and not by his words, said Siko, to which Naruto also smiled. Thanks, good, let's go, let's not keep that person waiting, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded and thus guides Naruto to where they requested him. In another part of the base, Hirano was in one of the watchtowers with a sniper rifle, observing that nothing was out of the ordinary. With the scope he could observe several blocks or in the sky with the naked eye, although he used the scope if something seemed suspicious to him. Hiranakin called a girl's voice behind Hirano. Oh, Yumikin, I'm glad to see you, said Hirano, looking behind him at the girl, but then he focused his gaze back on the front. Always so attentive for the good of all, said Umi, walking to be next to Hirano, and leaving a small bento on a table that was in the tower, since this was there for the guards to leave either their water bottle or their lunch for the surveillance shift. It's my job, but I also like knowing that thanks to what I do, many can be sure that there is no danger inside the base, said Hirano, watching, although occasionally looking sideways at Umi. It's good to hear it, and I like to see you happy, said Umi, sitting on a small ledge that remained on the bars that covered the tower so that the flying zombies wouldn't enter. You know, my shift ends in about 2 hours. If you want, we can go for a walk to the park on the east side of the base, said Hirano, somewhat embarrassed. Of course, I would love to. I'm already free. That's why I wanted to come see you, said Umi, smiling affectionately. I see. And how was your day today? Asked Hirano. Well, we finally finished arranging the medicines and canned foods in the warehouse, said Umi, and then sighed. The problem will be when they finish the underground base, because once they finish it we will move everything back under there, so I will have a lot of work when that happens, said Umi, to which Hirano put a hand on her shoulder. I know you can. After all, you are an amazing girl, you always strive for the good of others, you even did it at school, class representative, said Hirano, which made Umi smile warmly. Thanks, Hiranakin, said Umi. There's no need to give them to me, because I only told the truth, said Hirano. Not for that, thanks for being kind to me, you're a great guy, said Umi, somewhat blushed, as did Hirano. Umi, I like you. Hirano dropped the bomb, surprising Umi ever since that time we met in the school hallway, that time when we collided when we were carrying some books to the teacher's room. You became very pretty to me, and since then I couldn't stop thinking about you. Of course, then I started to like firearms thanks to my father, but I could never get you out of my head, said Hirano, looking directly into Umi's eyes. Do you really feel that way for me? Umi asked with a blush, to which Hirano nodded without stopping looking at her, but with a slight blush. I'm glad to know that you feel that way about me, because I feel the same, me too. Since that day, you caught my attention, because I saw that many bothered you and even Professor Koichi. Many times I informed the director, but he never paid attention to me. After that, I always saw you, when you arrived at your classroom, when you arrived at school, and even when you left, but I never had the courage to talk to you because of how shy I was. But now, with everything that's happening, I think I overcame my shyness, Umi said, and then approached Hirano. I love you too, Hiranakin, Umi said, and then kissed Hirano, taking him by surprise. Hirano, when he felt Umi's lips, was surprised, but then returned the kiss, which only lasted a few seconds. Yumikin, do you want to be my girlfriend? Hirano asked, to which Umi smiled. Of course, Hiranikin, I would love to be your girlfriend, said Umi with a loving smile. By the way, I brought you a bento. I figured you'd be hungry because of your shift, said Umi, pointing at the small bento on the table. Thanks, Yumikin. The truth is that I'm hungry, said Hirano, to which Umi took the bento and opened it to then give it to Hirano. Both Umi and Hirano ate from the bento until they finished it, although this without Hirano neglecting his guard. Do you like me? Umi asked, to which Hirano nodded. Yes, it was very tasty, Hirano said dreamily. I'm glad to hear it. It was a little difficult to cook it since there is no gas to use stoves, but Rikison taught me how to do it on a bonfire, said Umi with a smile. Wow, you tried really hard for me, said Hirano with some tears in his eyes. What's wrong, Hiranikin? Umi asked as tears came to Hirano's eyes. Nothing, it's just that it makes me happy to know that you did it for me, said Hirano, wiping away his tears. And I will continue to do so from now on, said Umi, smiling slightly. By the way, would you teach me how to use a gun? Asked Umi, to which Hirano nodded. Sure, come, hold it, and I'll tell you how to use it, said Hirano, to which Umeya felt and took the rifle. Hirano showed her how to hold it. He stood behind her and guided her so she knew how to hold it. Then he told her how to reload it. He taught her how to aim, and when they saw a zombie, Hirano taught Umi how to shoot, although of course the rifle was silenced so as not to call more zombies. After Hirano's turn, the new couple took over and went on a short date in the base's East Park. Returning with Naruto. Naruto had finally finished talking to those who were looking for him, and they had been none other than Nick Fury and General Castro, and of course Rika translated the entire conversation. I'm glad to know that you want to help with the security of the base. I really appreciate it. But don't take me the wrong way. But trust is not earned from one moment to the next. It takes time, said Naruto seriously. We understand that, and we're not asking you to trust us. We just want to contribute our specialties to help, so to speak. I was a secret agent and later director of a secret military intelligence organization, said Fury. In my case, I would like to join the exploration groups if you have any. I would like to go out and help finish off the zombies outside the walls, or the guards of the walls, said Castro. I understand that you want to help, and if you are willing, I will put you in the Intelligence and Collection Center, under Shin's orders. He is a very intelligent boy who has carried out several plans for collecting supplies. He also knows English very well, and as I said, it is only a matter of time before he completely trusts you, and if that happens, you would rise in rank, so to speak, said Naruto, to which Nick nodded. Because that was better than doing nothing. As for you, General Castro, yours is easier to fulfill. Report to a boy named Takashi. He is in charge of managing the patrols and surveillance, said Naruto, to which Rika translated and Castro nodded. Thanks. Where is that boy? Castro asked, intrigued. It is in one of the stores that are near the garage of this mansion, more specifically the store that is on the right side of the entrance. Give this to the boy so he knows what he is going to, said Rika, and the last thing giving him a paper, to which Castro nodded, and so he went to where they told him. Now you, Mr. Fury, I will take you to where Shin is right now, said Rika, to which Nick nodded. Very well, if that's all, I'll leave. I have a meeting with Amara and Shizuka about the medicines at the base to find out if we're lacking anything or if we're okay for the moment, said Naruto, standing up. Very well. Just remember that after your meeting with Shizuka, there will be a meeting to decide what will be done with the boys, said Rika, to which Naruto nodded. Yes, thank you. See you, Mr. Fury. It was a pleasure talking to you, said Naruto, extending his hand in greeting. The pleasure was mine, Mr. Uzumaki, and I'm glad to know that you are very cautious, because you are right, trust is not easily given. It takes work to earn it over time, said Fury, to which Naruto smiled when Rika translated it. Well, I'm leaving. We'll see each other another day. Oh, Mr. Fury, I hope you attend the meeting to decide what will be done with the boys another day. Unfortunately, I can't let them stay in this base, so their destiny is either death or exile, said Naruto sternly, to which Nick nodded, because he already lived through an attack on a base and knew what could happen if nothing is done to the boys. I'll be there, said Nick, only for Naruto to nod and leave the place. Very well, Mr. Fury, follow me, I'll take you to Shin, said Rika, to which Nick nodded and followed Rika to where the Intelligence and Collection Center was, and on the other hand Naruto went to the infirmary where Himari and Shizuka were. Meanwhile, with Takashi. Takashi had been working organizing different exploration, collection or hive annihilation groups, as they called the large groups of zombies that are found inside houses, buildings or some other constructions, and sometimes these can have mutant zombies. This is very tiring. The second patrol should arrive in 2 hours as established if the plan goes well. In addition, Patrol 7 has just relieved some of the wall guards. Now that Hirano has set foot there, he should be free from the wall guards, said Takashi to himself while reviewing some papers. I see you're busy, Takashiki, said a girl's voice that made Takashi smile and raise his gaze. Yes, organizing patrols is not that easy, Ray-chan, said Takashi, smiling slightly at his girlfriend. You're very stressed. Relax a little, said Ray, standing behind Takashi and massaging his shoulders. Takashi simply relaxed and let his girlfriend pamper him. You work so hard, and yet you still take the time to spend time with me, said Ray. I will always have time for the most important person in my life, said Takashi, making Ray smile, who stopped massaging Takashi only to kiss him on the lips. I like how your lips taste, said Takashi after finishing the kiss with his girlfriend. I like the way you kiss, said Ray, only to then turn to Takashi and sit on his lap. Do you have something to do now that you get off shift? Asked Ray, since Takashi and Ryu were the ones in charge of the patrols and reconnaissance groups. To be honest, yes, I do have something to do after my shift, said Takashi, which generated a slight gesture and sadness in Ray, and that is going out and having fun with my girlfriend, said Takashi, to which Ray smiled. I love you, said Ray, and then kissed him. Takashi, I've got you another recruit, said Rika, entering the place only to see the couple quickly separate. Sorry for the interruption, but you should do that in your free time, said Rika, smiling amused. Well, I would say the same thing about that time you and Naruto locked yourselves in the office for more than 2 hours and then you came out somewhat disheveled and messed up, said Ray, which made Rika blush. Well, I haven't seen anything, so, back to the topic, Takashi, this is General Castro. He comes from the United States and wants to join the wall patrol and the surveillance, said Rika, to which Takashi took a serious pose. Very well, Rika-san, I'll take care of it. I can speak English thanks to Ray-chan, said Takashi, to which Rika nodded. Then I'll leave it to you. Remember the meeting is in a few hours, said Rika, to which Takashi nodded seriously. Okay, I'll be there, said Takashi, only for Rika to leave. Then Takashi looked at Castro and started speaking in English. So, do you want to join the lookout? Takashi asked, to which Castro nodded. That's right, young man. I want to join the wall watchers, the guards or the collectors. I would like to finish off zombies to help make the base safer, said Castro, to which Takashi nodded. Very well. A lookout is needed on the southwest wall of Section 7 and the 21st Collection Group is missing 2 members, said Takashi, checking some papers. Which one would you like to join? Asked Takashi, to which Castro remained thoughtful. Takashi noticed this and took 2 sheets of paper. Look, on these sheets it is written what each of the 3 groups that are there for the guard do. Look at them and tomorrow morning come back and tell me which one you have decided to join, said Takashi, to which Castro nodded. Very well, young man, thank you. I will come early and give you my decision, said Castro, and then left. Now then, what were we talking about? Ray asked sensually, approaching Takashi again. Back with Naruto. Naruto was talking with Shizuka about the base's medicines, both the categorization and if there were enough to treat the sick. The talk lasted about 40 minutes given the somewhat childish attitude of Nurse Shizuka. But Naruto could notice that when it came to something serious she behaved like a professional, When they both finished talking about the matter of medicines, Shizuka approached Naruto. Naruto-kun, do you have plans for tonight? Shizuka asked. No, I don't have any plans. Why? Naruto asked, seeing Shizuka smiling happily. What? Tell me, would you like to come to my room for dinner? Shizuka asked excitedly. Of course, I would love to, said Naruto, to which Shizuka smiled happily, to which Naruto also smiled, seeing the attitude and joy of the woman in front of him. Besides, he didn't have to be a genius to realize what Shizuka felt for him, and even more for what he just saw. Then I'll see you tonight, said Shizuka, and then returned to her work. Yes, see you, Shizuka-kun, said Naruto, and then left where they had the infirmary. After leaving, he let out a sigh and put on a serious look. Okay, now to the most important thing today, said Naruto, heading to the room where the meeting would take place. When he got to the room, he saw that there was no one there yet. He looked at the clock and realized that there were still about 20 minutes left until the time he had set for the meeting, so he decided to stay and wait. Despite how hungry he was, he had to finish the pending meeting first. Then he could eat, and well, who wouldn't be hungry if they have lunch at 7 a.m. and don't eat anything even when it's already past 4 p.m.? It was 440 to be exact, and the meeting was at 5 a.m. When the time came, he saw that the members who were going to participate in the meeting arrived one after another until everyone was present. Thank you very much for attending this important meeting. Miss Rika will be the translator for this meeting. Although if you like, Miss Romanoff could confirm what Miss Rika translates, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded upon hearing the translation. Fine, now let's begin, said Naruto, starting the meeting, where several gave testimonies of what happened when Naruto was not there. Steve also gave his. He said that he had given up when he saw that they took hostages and threatened to kill them, and that although he could disarm them and knock them out, someone had hit him in the head from behind, leaving him unconscious. Naruto gave his when he arrived and told them that because of what they did, those kids could not stay at the base. What do you suggest we do then, if they can't stay here? What will we do to them? Asked Steve, who was bandaged in some parts. Since no one died during their riot, the most appropriate thing would be to banish them and take them out of the city so they can't harm anyone here again when they go on a mission. We already have enough with the mutants without having to take care of 12 arrogant boys with airs of superiority, said Naruto seriously. Don't you think that's going too far? I mean, even though they mutinied, I think they learned their lesson with what you did, said Castro, to which Naruto denied. So if we leave them here, you could be the next one they take hostage, and this time they might even kill someone, said Naruto seriously. I agree. We once locked up one of the survivors who arrived here. No more than an hour passed since he arrived when he was already attacking someone, as well as those who followed him. In light of this fact, we locked him up where those boys are now, but the murderer used those who followed him to escape. He used them as a ladder to get out of the wire cage, and after that he killed the former leader of this base, Yuriko said with some pain as she remembered her late husband. I see your point. But leaving them to their fate is a bit much, Fury said. If you're referring to the fact that we'll leave them defenseless, you're wrong. I'm not a monster to send people to their deaths. We'll give them supplies and some bladed weapons, and then their survival will depend on them, said Naruto, to which the majority nodded in agreement. They already tried to mutiny once and almost succeeded. We can't risk them doing it again, said Conan. In the past we suffered several betrayals, and those traitors became criminals when they killed people from their own village, and although in the end we caught them, that did not change the fact that by letting them go when we could catch them, they have killed more people and caused suffering to more people, said Mikoto, remembering the various renegades of Konoha. They chose to mutiny because they believed that by right they deserved to lead this base just for being Americans. Their ego was so great that they didn't know that America is a continent and not a country. They were Americans, according to them the most powerful nation in the world, and only for that they wanted command, only for that they took hostages, only for that they hurt survivors. Tell me, what kind of leaders would they have been if they had taken control of the base? Said Takashi seriously. Exile to another city is the most merciful option for those boys. Where I come from, attacking with the intention of killing a comrade is punishable by death. Do you want us to kill those boys? Naruto asked. But they didn't attack anyone to kill, said Nick. They attacked Naruto with weapons. Although he was able to defeat them, they undoubtedly had the intention of killing. On the other hand, Naruto only attacked them with the intention of knocking them out, said Natasha, only for Fury to let out a sigh and close his eye. Well, seeing that those kids did a lot of things to be able to defend them, do it, said Nick, looking seriously at Naruto. Okay, let's get started. Let's start the voting. Those who vote to be banished to another city raise their hands, said Naruto, to which everyone raised their hands, seeing that it was the most sensible thing for the boys to be killed. Decided, they will be banished. They will be given provisions for 3 days and knives. After that they will have to survive on their own. What they do once we leave them in another city will no longer be our problem, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded. Okay, this meeting is over. You can return to your duties, said Naruto, only for everyone to get up and start to leave. You should have killed them. Who knows what they will do in that city you took them to, said Shikaku in Naruto's mind. Don't worry, I'll leave them in a city where there are no more living humans, said Naruto, walking towards his room where he had some food saved from whence, and they distributed the food. And if they manage to get out of that city, what will happen if they do? Asked Gyuki. If that happens, well, I doubt they'll know where to go. After all, this is Japan and not the United States, and I doubt they'll be able to read what the maps or signs say, said Naruto, downplaying it. You know what you're doing, Naruto. Just think about the possible problems this can cause in the future, said Sun again. That's what I did, my friend, and that's why I'm taking them away, as far away as possible, said Naruto, and then the Bijus nodded inside him and cut the mental confection. Shin. Shin had finally gotten off his shift at the intelligence center, and was now putting some things away when suddenly his view was blocked by 2 hands. Who am I? A woman's voice asked. I don't know, maybe you are the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my life, and her name is Naomi, Shin replied, to which a small giggle was heard before the 2 hands were removed and he looked again. Tell me, where are we going? Naomi asked, clasping her hands around Shin's neck. Whatever you want, my beautiful princess, Shin replied, blushing slightly at Naomi. Well, Misato, Ryu, Hirano and Umi agreed to meet at the park in the East Zone. What do you say if we make that double date a triple date? Asked Naomi, to which Shin smiled and kissed Naomi on the lips. Sounds perfect to me, just let me finish a few things here, said Shin, to which Naomi nodded. Once Shin finished, they both walked out hand in hand. And tell me, how did it go today at the communications center? Shin asked as they walked towards the mansion's gate. Well, today we were sending some messages to the survivors, if there are still any out there, and we also managed to get the signal to the neighboring city, Naomi said. That's great. The longer the range, the more people will be able to hear the message and save themselves if they get here, said Shin. What do you want to do later, I mean at night? Naomi asked. I don't know, what do you want to do? Shin asked, to which Naomi smiled. Let's have dinner in my room and spend the night with me, okay? Naomi said, which made Shin blush at how she said it. Sure, I'd love to, said Shin, to which Naomi smiled happily. Later that same day. As agreed, Naruto and Shizuka both had dinner in the second room. They chatted fun. Shizuka had cooked some food that Naruto brought, or rather between them they cooked it in the mansion's basket, one of the few advantages of still having natural gas. When they finished eating they both stayed chatting for a while. Between laughs and anecdotes and stories time flew by. Well, I think it's time to go. It's very late, said Naruto, getting up from the bed where Shizuka was sleeping. Naruto-kun, wait, said Shizuka, getting up and taking his hand. What's wrong, Shizuka-kun? Asked Naruto, seeing a blushing Shizuka. The wealth truth, I know this is something unusual and immoral, but you see, I said, Shizuka, moving somewhat uncomfortable and blushing, but she didn't finish speaking when Naruto's lips captured hers in a tender kiss. Shizuka didn't take more than a couple of seconds to return the kiss. This lasted a couple of seconds until they both separated. I love you, Naruto-kun. Despite our age difference, and even knowing that you already have a relationship with other girls, I still love you, said Shizuka. And I love you too. We've been through a lot since the day we left school. You caught my attention, and your attitude is one of the things I like about you. But now that I know you feel for me, I promise I'll never leave you aside, any of you. I know you deserve more than this idiot. You deserve someone who can love you completely and not have to share that love, said Naruto, looking into Shizuka's eyes, and that's why I promise to love all of you equally. It doesn't matter if I have more girls in the future. I will love you all equally and respect you, said Naruto, only to be kissed again by Shizuka. Sleep with me tonight? Shizuka asked, which surprised Naruto. What? Naruto asked, a little confused. Sleep with me tonight. I don't want to sleep alone tonight, said Shizuka, pulling Naruto to the bed and both falling on it, although Naruto on Shizuka, more exactly between her bulbas. You will be my teddy bear tonight, said Shizuka, hugging Naruto by his head and putting him deeper into her bulbas. Okay, fine. But let me breathe, said Naruto, already changing color. Shizuka, noticing this, released Naruto, who detached himself and took a deep breath of air. Let's breathe, said Naruto, only to be pulled onto the bed again, and this time he was lying down with Shizuka's head on his chest. Good night, Naruto-kun, said Shizuka, pulling the sheets to cover herself. Good night, Shizuka-kun, said Naruto, and so they both fell asleep to rest, since the next day there were many things to do, starting with taking the boys away from the base. Chapter 14. They can't do this to us, shouted a boy. They'll just let them kick us out like that. We come from the strongest nation. They know we should be the ones in charge, said another boy. All you did was put a lot of people at risk. You only thought about yourselves and, furthermore, Fury said seriously. Besides, they don't even know the name of their country, Natasha said mockingly, although she was somewhat far from the place. There is nothing we can do. The decision was made and there is no turning back. You must learn from your mistakes, said Fury, then looked at Naruto and nodded. Okay, take them to the cars, said Naruto, to which some men escorted the boys to some cars that had no tires. The place where they were was exactly outside the walls, where Natasha, Naruto, Fury, Siko, and some armed survivors were who were going to prevent the boys from doing something. It wasn't that Naruto couldn't fight them, but it still didn't hurt to prevent. Also, being outside the walls, there was always the possibility that zombies would come and attack them. Sir, everyone is up there, said one of the armed men. Okay, are the 2 suitcases ready? Naruto asked, to which Siko nodded and handed Naruto 2 suitcases. Yes, food, water, and some knives, said Siko, handing the 2 suitcases to Naruto. Okay, I'll take you south, to a city, if possible, where there are no survivors, said Naruto. Take care and come back soon, said Siko, and then kissed him lightly on the lips. I will. Tell Mikoto and Konan that I've asked them to set up base and help Yurikokan with the paperwork, said Naruto, to which Siko nodded. Okay, I will. Besides, you still have to deal with the feelings of some girls, said Siko, to which Naruto sighed and nodded. I know, and I also apologize for not being able to spend much time with you. I know I should spend more time with you and get to know you much more, but with the problems I don't have much time, said Naruto, before Siko silenced him with a finger of hers. You don't have to apologize. We know you're busy and we understand. Besides, you always try to spend some time, no matter how short it is, you find the time to be with one of us, and that's enough. Because you show us that we matter to you and that you love us, said Siko, to which Naruto smiled. I promise to try to find more time to spend with each of you, said Naruto. Naruto, I'm sorry to interrupt, But time is short, and there are many things to do after you take these guys away from the base, said Natasha, interrupting the couple. But Seiko managed to detect a slight touch of jealousy in Natasha. This will be interesting and fun, Seiko thought to herself. Very well, I'm going, said Naruto, and then looked at Seiko, and she just nodded. Naruto smiled and started to approach the cars. Move back a little, said Naruto, to which everyone did, and Naruto drew a couple of hand signs that stopped a jutsu that Chomei sent him. Spore curtain, whispered Naruto, only for a white cloud to come out of his mouth, which apparently had some small crystals that shone. Or so it seemed, since no matter how hard they tried to see what was shining, they couldn't see it. The white cloud covered the two cars, and about 10 seconds later it disappeared. What was that? Fury asked, and Natasha translated for Naruto. That was a sleeping technique. It will put them to sleep for an hour or two, enough time for me to find a place to leave them, said Naruto. Okay, then we'll return to the base, said Seiko, to which Naruto nodded, and so they all began to return. Naruto, today you will not use me to carry them, said Kurama, intriguing Naruto. What do you mean, Kurama? He asked, surprised, because Kurama said he wouldn't use him. You see, now that you have my brothers inside you too, it would be good if you trained to control their bijou form as well, said Kurama. But Naruto remained the same. You see, Naruto, don't take it the wrong way, but being locked up here is sometimes boring. Although we can do something to distract ourselves, remember that we are creatures of chakra, and although I don't want to say it, we are something like fighting machines, said Kurama, to which Naruto frowned a little when he heard how Kurama called himself, because he didn't consider them that and didn't believe they were. This was seen by the other bijous, who were also awake, and before Naruto spoke, Chomei took the floor. You see, Naruto, what Kurama is referring to is that each of us generates a desire to release chakra, and sometimes there are so many that we don't know how to release them, or, in other words, we have an overload and the only way left is to fight each other. That would be fine, if it were outside of you, because if we do it inside it would be very dangerous for your body, said Chomei, to which Naruto already understood a little more. I understand, but what does it have to do with controlling his bijou mode? Asked Naruto. That's what we were going for. Another way to release that chakra is like you did with Kurama a little while ago. Using our bijou form, you release part of our chakra, and that way we release all that overload. Also, another way is like you did in that library, when you stopped using your clones. But that way doesn't let us release as much charge as when you use our bijou form, said Sun this time. That's why we decided to help you control our bijou form, although I don't think it will be difficult for you since it's something similar to how you do it with Kurama, said Koko. Okay guys, if it's to help you, let's do it, said Naruto, smiling. Okay, now seeing that what you need is to fly, let's start with Chomei, said Gyuki, to which Naruto nodded. Okay Naruto, do the same as when you use Kurama's bijou mode, only instead of using Kurama's chakra, focus on mine, said Chomei, to which Naruto nodded and began to do what the seven-tailed bijou said. A couple of seconds passed when Naruto began to be surrounded by a grayish-green mantle of chakra. You're doing well, now expel more chakra, said Isabu, to which Naruto began to expel more chakra from Chomei, and after a few seconds Naruto was able to adopt Chomei's bijou form. Very good, you did it, now you just need to extend the time and master it well, said Matatabi somewhat happily. Being your first link with Chomei, I don't think you have more than 3 hours, said Shikaku, although with some envy since he wanted to be the first to release those desires. Although maybe waiting would be worth it. Who knows, maybe Naruto would let them use their clones to finish off more of those things. Let's take these kids out of the city, Chomei said outside, to which Naruto nodded from his mind. Chomei used his tail to go through the windows of the cars so he could carry them. Once the tubes were well secured, he began to rise in the air, quickly located the south and began to fly. Kurama, can you use your sensor ability to tell me in which city there are no survivors? Asked Naruto, to which Kurama nodded. Naruto transformed into Chomei, flew south. They passed through several towns in which Kurama said there were survivors. Although they were only a group, they passed high above them and managed to see that they had a small base set up, but resistant enough to keep the zombies out. But of course, Naruto would then find a way to come to them and secure them a place in his base. This same thing happened through several towns and cities they passed through. They had been flying for an hour and looking for a place to leave the boys, and although they flew at great speed, they always lowered it when they reached a town so that Kurama could scan well if there were still people alive, since apparently the zombies had no energy signature, that is, he could not detect them since they were already dead. It was something strange. Naruto, in this city there are no survivors. It seems either everyone died or was evacuated already, said Kurama after trying to feel any survivors in that city. Are you sure? Asked Naruto, to which Kurama nodded. Yes, I'm sure, answered Kurama, having checked a second time. Okay, Chome, below's here, said Naruto, to which Chome nodded and began to descend with the two cars. It's been almost 2 hours. The boys will be waking up soon, said Saiken as Chome got off and left the cars on top of a building, where upon leaving them it began to transform. Even so, I'm surprised by the number of survivors there are. If I want to rescue everyone, I'll have to expand the base much more, said Naruto as Chome's bijou mode disappeared and he returned to his normal form. I would say you will have to expand it until you secure the entire city, or at least most of it, Gyuki answered. That's true, at least if you manage to rescue everyone we saw, said Isabu. And that was only the south. We still have to see the north, said Sun, this time while Naruto in his original form was taking the boys out of the cars and leaving them on the ground. Let's leave that for later, the boys will wake up soon, said Matatabi, seeing through Naruto's eyes how the boys began to wake up. I still say that instead of bringing those cards you should have brought Natasha or Rika, said Kurama, watching as Naruto took out some cards that Rika gave him with the message she would tell the boys before leaving them. You know that she is very busy with the radio transmissions, and now both she and Natasha must be at the base so that if there are problems between the survivors they can intervene by translating, said Naruto, since, if it weren't for that, it was certain that he would have brought one of the two girls. Where are we? A boy's voice caught Naruto's attention. Well then, now do what you have to do and let's go back, said Kurama, to which Naruto mentally nodded, seeing how all the boys woke up and looked around trying to get their bearings. Where the hell are we? The boy who was the leader wondered, only to direct his gaze in front of him and see Naruto on the roof of the place where there was a door that gave access to the roof. You bastard! Where did you bring us? The boy asked, annoyed, but Naruto didn't understand them, or well, he did a little. But he wouldn't make an effort to understand them. Instead, he put the cards in front of him to read them and start reciting them in English. Due to your actions yesterday, the base considered you dangerous to its stability, so you have been banished and are now in another city, one where you are the only survivors. After those words, the boys felt a little scared, because now they understood that there were only them and the rest would be zombies. But we will not leave you to your fate, because if we did we would only be equal to you. Inside those suitcases there is water and food for all of you. If you ration it well, it should last for 3 days. In the other, you will find some bladed weapons with which you can defend yourselves. Now your survival depends on yourselves. Good luck, said Naruto before taking a big leap towards the nearest building, thus leaving the boys on that rooftop. Damn, this won't stay like this. We'll get out of this place and return to that base to take it over, said the one who was the leader to his followers, who nodded. Well, let's go. We must find shelter, said the boy before going to the suitcases and opening the weapons one to see that there were only kitchen knives and a machete. He took the machete and gave the suitcase to the others so that everyone could take one. Then he took the backpack of food and water and looked at everyone. First, this will be our temporary base. Let's clean the floors and block the entrances. At least for today we'll just do that. Tomorrow we'll finish cleaning the building and then we'll start looking for supplies, said the boy, and so everyone began to enter the building to start cleaning the upper floor. Although what they didn't know was that the building they were in was one that was right in the center of the city, which meant that it was where there were the most zombies. With Naruto jumped away from the buildings until he was a good distance from the place where he left the boys. Now being far away, he took a big jump and began to take the form of Chomei again. "Okay, friend," home, said Naruto, to which Chomei nodded and began to fly directly to the Tokanosa's city base. By the way, I searched for this city on Google Maps, but I couldn't find it, so I decided to locate it somewhere midway between Tokyo and Sendai, more or less in the Fukushima prefecture. 2 days later. Naruto was sitting behind his desk staring at Iori and a girl named Yuri, both of whom looked very eager and had excited smiles on their faces. "So, where did you find it?" Iori asked hurriedly while holding what appeared to be a flyer or an advertisement for a concert in which 5 girls were seen. "I don't know, it was probably when I passed through Tokyo, or maybe when I arrived in this city," Naruto answered. "Anyway, why are you so interested?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. "Well, you probably don't know it, but they are the most famous in the geek world, that is, for people with unusual tastes. But it is more associated with people who love video games and anime, as well as K-pop music," Iori answered, explaining to Naruto in simple words what he was a geek. "The fact is that they were going to give a concert in this city a few days ago, but due to the current situation it was no longer possible and many of us were left wanting to see them. I had already bought merchandise from them to use during the concert," said Yuri, somewhat disappointed. "And if they know what days they were, why don't they see the dates on the flyer? With that, they should know what city it's from?" said Naruto, to which the 2 boys looked blank for not having done that, because when Naruto arrived he had that flyer stuck to his cloak, but he dropped it, and it ended up right at Iori's feet, who grabbed it and ran to show it to Yuri, and so they both tried many times to ask Naruto where he got it, but the whole day was busy, and because they were so excited, they forgot to check the dates. "He, we forgot in the excitement," said Iori, laughing nervously. "Let's see, she's from this city, the dates on the flyer and the concert are the same, that means they were already here when this happened," said Yuri, somewhat surprised. "Wait, so you've been in this city for over a week?" Iori asked. "I don't know, but they don't put up the flyers until the artist is about to arrive or is already in town," said Yuri. "If they were already here and still haven't come out, they must be in the place where they would give their concert," said Iori, generating some curiosity in Naruto since it seemed there was a possibility that the location of some survivors in this city was known. "Well, now if you have my full attention, tell me, where is that place?" Naruto asked, looking at Iori. "Take me with you," said Iori, taking a serious tone. "Just you, but not anymore. If we don't find anything it will be a waste of time and I won't risk lives. If we find survivors we can return quickly if we are few," said Naruto, to which Iori looked at Yuri. "Yuri, I know you want to go too, but…" "It's okay, just come back alive. I don't care if I know them or not, but I couldn't live if I lost you," said Yuri, hugging Iori. "I promise to come back," Iori said affectionately. "Okay, now let's go, there's a place to explore," said Naruto, standing up and creating a clone which stayed doing the paperwork. Then Naruto left the office, being followed by Iori and Yuri. "Naruto-kun, are you coming out?" Conan asked, walking down the stairs to the 2nd floor. "Yes, it seems there is a chance of knowing the location of some survivors and we will go to check the place. Plus we will probably find supplies on the way," said Naruto as Conan finished going down the stairs. "Well, actually, that's what I was going to talk to you about. Apparently there's a place called Tokanosa Dome. Apparently it's a place where they do shows or something like that," said Conan, being interrupted by Yuri. "The Tokanosa Dome is the place where they would perform. It is a place where concerts and some plays are given here in the city," said Yuri with enthusiasm. "Well, yes, we received a signal that there is a small group of survivors." The voice seemed to be a man's. Conan answered. "Very well, I'll just take Iori. I want this to be quick," said Naruto, only to see Conan approach, and when she was in front of him, she kissed him lightly on the lips. "Take care and return with the survivors. I will take care of the paperwork and I will tell Yurikosan to check if there are any houses available. or we will see where to accommodate them when you return with them, said Conan, smiling affectionately. Very well, I'll be back. He walked away a little before turning around Iori. Let's go, there are people to rescue, said Naruto, to which the aforementioned nodded and then followed him. They'll come back, right? Yuri asked, somewhat fearful. Yes, they will, don't worry, said Conan confidently to relax the girl. Now come on, help me look for Yuriko-san, said Conan, to which Yuri nodded, and so both women went in search of the aforementioned. So what are we going to do? Iori asked Naruto. Tell me, do you know how to drive? Naruto asked without seeing him as they both left the mansion grounds. That depends, said Iori, to which Naruto raised an eyebrow. It depends on what? Naruto asked. If it's a car, no. If it's a bike, yes, said Iori, to which Naruto got an anime-style drop. Iori, if you're going to be funny, I think I'd better go alone, said Naruto, to which Iori knew he had messed up trying to be funny in a situation like that, because Naruto had been serious. I'm sorry, I was trying to relax the atmosphere. To be honest, I'm nervous, said Iori, apologizing. Why would you be? I mean, after all, I'm going. If you're worried about the zombies, you know I'll take care of them, said Naruto, looking at Iori out of the corner of his eye. It's not that, it's just that I've always wanted to meet them, and now that I know I might be able to do it, I'm nervous, said Iori, to which Naruto smiled. Iori, I'll give you some advice. When you feel nervous about meeting one of your idols, just keep in mind that your first impression will be everything. If you show nervous, maybe they won't take you seriously, but if you stand firm and show calm, it will be a unique experience, although sometimes your idols can turn out to be different from what you imagine, said Naruto, and at the end remembering when he met Koiki. I understand, Sai, I'll try to do what you say, said Iori, relaxing. Okay, now I repeat my question, do you know how to drive? Naruto asked again. A little, my father was barely teaching me before this happened, said Iori, to which Naruto just nodded slightly. Good, because I don't know, and I'll need you to drive to the place Kananshin said Naruto. I'll do my best, said Iori, seeing that they were heading towards the exit gate of the walls. In another part of the city, Tokanosa Dome. Damn, no matter where I go, all the entrances and exits are blocked, plus we've already run out of food and water. We must find a way out, or this will be our end, said the voice of a woman who walked among the zombies without making a noise thanks to her ability to become invisible. Thanks to that ability, she was able to collect water and food that was in the place where they were without alerting the zombies. After collecting them, she took them to where she and her companions had taken shelter. Seeing that she would not find anything, she decided to go back. Did you find anything? A girl asked as she saw her friend walk through the door. Nothing, and besides the entrances and exits are blocked, said the girl who had returned. Damn, we should have escaped when we could, now we lack the strength to use our abilities, said a third girl. It was very risky. There were at least 100 people who had the privilege of watching us rehearse, said a fourth girl. Even so, our manager has taken too long, don't you think? Asked a fifth girl. That's true, he said he would go with our bodyguard to see if he could get a radio working in the control room. But that was almost 2 hours ago, said the second girl. Do you think something happened to her? The fifth girl asked. I don't know, I hope and no, but I also hope and they managed to get that radio working and ask for help, said the first girl. We just have to wait, said the fourth girl. With Naruto and Iori. Are we almost there? Naruto asked from the hood of the car, which he held onto with chakra to avoid falling, while at the same time throwing wind shuriken at the zombies he saw. Yes, it's that place, the one that looks like a dome, said Iori, somewhat nervous about driving, although if he was honest, he was driving better than with his father and faster. Okay, if you can hurry up, said Naruto, dodging the tongue of a smoker. Get over here, said Naruto, grabbing the tongue and then pulling it hard, attracting the mutant zombie towards him. Naruto received it with an elbow to the face, causing the skull to be destroyed. Then he quickly took his katana from his back and split it in half in an ascending manner. "Hey, I can't see," complained Iori, since the zombie's blood had remained on the windshield, preventing Iori from seeing. He quickly activated the windshield wipers, and after a couple of seconds he could see the road again. "I'm sorry," Naruto apologized, only to continue his work of clearing the way for Iori. A few minutes later both had arrived at the place. They made a couple of turns only to see that the entrances were blocked either by the closed doors or by hordes of zombies piled up. After this they returned to the parking lot and parked, or well, the best Iori could do, since he ended up almost crashing into a pole. "And now what are we going to do?" Iori asked without getting out of the car. "I don't know. The doors were closed and the ones that were open were covered by several zombies. The car couldn't run over them all," said Naruto thoughtfully. "And ramming the car into the doors would only attract their attention, and we would be surrounded instantly," Iori said, to which Naruto nodded, knowing it. Then Naruto raised his sight and noticed some windows almost at the top of the place. Apparently they were some kind of vents or skylights. "Iori, have you ever experienced climbing something completely vertical?" asked Naruto, looking at Iori, who just shook his head, but Naruto's gaze said that he might not like what he was doing. "No, why?" Iori asked. "I just found our entrance," said Naruto, looking towards the skylights. "Because I have a feeling I wouldn't like your idea," said Iori somewhat nervously. "Come on, it won't be that bad," said Naruto, to which Iori just sighed and got out of the car like Naruto. Both walked in silence until they reached one of the walls of the place, and as Iori thought, he didn't like the idea at all. "Oh, come on, it won't be that bad, just hold on to me," Naruto said to Iori, who just shook his head. "No, I think I'd better wait for you here," said Iori. "Are you sure? Remember that there are still mutant zombies." After mentioning the specials, Iori paled. To be honest, Naruto's idea was better than facing the mutants. "Okay," said Iori, just to stand next to Naruto. "That's how you talk. Don't worry, I'll do it quickly anyway. It's almost at the top, so I'll get there in one jump," said Naruto, which made Iori get a little nervous. "Wait, jump, you don't mean that?" And he didn't finish when Naruto jumped with great force, managing to reach the skylight. "We arrived," said Naruto, and then with a blow he broke the glass so both could enter, because apparently it was not a skylight. It was a window of what seemed to be the hallway that led to some doors which gave access to some boxes. "I know where we are, but the question is, where are they?" Iori said. "Get away!" A shout from what seemed to be a man was heard and alerted the two boys, since they were apparently close to them. "On the other side of the dome." "Did you hear that?" asked the second girl. "It seemed to be the manager's voice," said the fifth girl. "I'll go see," said the first girl, coming out and reactivating her invisibility ability. With Naruto and Iori. Both boys arrived at the place where the scream came from. Upon arriving, they saw how a muscular man was biting a brown-haired man who was wearing a white shirt and black dress pants, and a little further away from them there were two dead zombies. "Help me, please, Aagag," said the man in pain. Naruto quickly took out a kunai and running towards the man to stab him in the head and kill him instantly. "How are you?" Naruto asked, seeing that Iori approached the man, but then moved away. "It's late, he was bitten," said Iori, standing 2 meters away from the man. "Please, we need help," said the man. "I'm sorry, I can't do anything to help you. You were bitten and you'll eventually turn," Naruto said sincerely. "Not for me. There are 5 girls trapped in the locker room, but they are surrounded by those things. Only one can get out since she can turn invisible. Thanks to her is that we have survived so much Kokuff so long," said the man, starting to spit blood and paling a little. "Very well, I promise I'll rescue them," said Naruto seriously. But then he saw 2 species of stingers rise behind Iori, Naruto quickly ran and pulled Iori, causing the stingers to stick into the ground. Damn, you killed him, said a white-haired girl apparently. Cough cough, Evelyn, wait, said the man weakly. Manager, are you okay? Asked the girl now known as Evelyn. He was bitten, you better stay away, Naruto said seriously, to which the girl only just noticed the bite. Stay away, Evelyn, they are right, said the man, to which Evelyn stepped back a few meters. It was Jerry. He was cuff bitten while protecting me. I didn't realize that cuffin when he transformed he bit me, but this boy killed him, said the manager with difficulty. He's changing. It won't be long before he transforms. We must finish him off now before he transforms. It will be less painful to see him turned into one of them, said Naruto seriously. You must make another exit, said Evelyn. Unfortunately not, there is no cure for that yet, said Naruto. Okay, please kill me. At least I want to leave Cuff as a human, said the man. But said the girl as Naruto approached and unsheathed his sword again. Please, said the man, to which Naruto pointed his sword at his forehead. Everything will be over in a second, said Naruto, to which the man closed his eyes. Then Naruto with force and speed pierced the man's skull, killing him instantly. Then he took out a katana and cleaned it, and then sheathed it again. I'm sorry, there was no other option, said Naruto, looking at the white-haired woman who dropped only a couple of tears. Okay, that was her wish, said Evelyn, looking at her manager. Her wish was also for us to save you and your friends, said Naruto, looking at the girl and then approaching her. Where are the others? Asked Naruto, putting his hand on the girl's shoulder. They are in the locker room, second room, but it is impossible to get there. There are many things like that in the way, said Evelyn, looking at Naruto fixedly. I see, so you're the one who can turn invisible, said Naruto, to which Eve nodded. Thanks to you they were able to survive more. Good job, said Naruto in a comforting way, because he knew that the girl was perhaps hurt by losing someone important to her. Hey, so how are we going to get to the girls? Iori asked. Evelyn, go and tell your friends to get ready to leave. I'll clear the way for them, Naruto said to the girl. Are you crazy? There are dozens of them, you won't be able to do it alone. And we can't help you, we ran out of food yesterday, and we're a bit weak, said Evelyn, and now that she thought about it, she didn't know if she could make herself invisible again long enough, since that used up energy. Trust me, just like he did, said Naruto, referring to the dead man. Carrot, I think that didn't sound very good. Let's say well, since Carrot. Evelyn just nodded and decided to trust the boy her manager trusted, so Evelyn became invisible and headed to where her friends were. When the girl left, Naruto created a clone. Iori, take my clone and leave here where we entered. Look for a truck or a bigger car where 6 people fit, Naruto told him, to which the boy nodded, and so the clone went to the place where they entered. And now the curtain rises, said Naruto, materializing a second katana in his hand and unsheathing his own again, and then going down where Kurama indicated that the girl had left. Naruto went down the place only to find something that made him remember when he arrived at Clint's house, which was dozens of zombies all over the place. Let's start, Naruto, crossing his swords in an X and leaning a little. A second later he launched himself forward, giving a cut that finished off several zombies with a single attack, and so the massacre began. Naruto, using 2 swords, was unstoppable, because with speed he attacked and finished off any zombie that got in his way. A forward thrust pierced the flesh of a zombie, then he turned and gave an upward cut that split another in half. Followed by that he advanced 2 steps, and then with his right sword he pierced the skull of another. He quickly spun around, seeing how 3 came at him from different directions at the same time, and as he spun quickly he decapitated them. After finishing off those 3 he jumped, propelling himself forward to finish off another 2. He wrapped his sword in futon chakra and then gave a cut in the air that shot out, finishing off several in a range of 10 meters. Guys, although I can handle them alone, I want to let you have some fun, said Naruto, only to create 9 clones that also carried the 2 katanas, and these took animal features. Oh yeah, finally, it's time to kill Kaiajijajaja, said the one possessed by Shikaku. Less talk and more blood, said the one possessed by Kurama, and so the 9 of them launched themselves into different areas to finish off the zombies. Only Naruto stayed in his area and also continued with the massacre. Con Evelyn. The girl managed to reach the place where her friends were, but very barely, since just as she was in front of the door her invisibility fell, a sign that she was exhausted and could not use it again. She entered the place only to see her friends a little worried. Evelyn, what happened? What was that scream? Where's the manager? The girls asked. He's dead, that scream was his, Evelyn answered, surprising the others. How? Asked a blue-haired girl. Jerry defended him from those things, but he was bitten and turned too, and then he bit our manager. I arrived after 2 boys killed the turned Jerry, but it was too late since our manager had already been bitten and was turning. One of the boys who killed Jerry also finished off the manager before he turned, said Evelyn, leaving the girls breathless. Both of them dead? The third girl, who had dark blue hair tied in a high ponytail, said to herself. It can't be, said a blonde girl with pink at the bottom of her hair and with 2 animal ears. What will we do now? A girl with blonde and black hair with pink highlights wondered. Wait, what happened to those 2 boys? Asked the dark blue-haired girl. One of them, the one who killed Jerry, said he would clear a path for us to escape, said Evelyn. Wait, would the 2 of them face all those things alone? Asked the blonde with black hair and pink highlights. Yes, so there's no time. Grab your things and let's leave, said Evelyn without giving time for complaints as she began to pick up some things she brought in a suitcase. The other 4 girls had no choice but to also take their things. When they were ready, they left the place with the one with black hair with blonde and pink highlights in front, since she was the one who had the most energy left and could fight to defend herself a little. But when they arrived at the place where there were supposed to be dozens of zombies, they only saw a blonde-haired boy easily finish off the zombies. But the girl who was in front opened her eyes in surprise when the boy made signals with his hands. He's a ninja, she said, surprised only to see how his hands took on a transparent white aura, and when he cut in the air some bursts came out of his hands and killed several. Who is he? The blonde with pink parts asked with some interest. Apparently he also has powers, said the light blue-haired girl. Either could say more when the boy looked at them. Come on, go out, that way, said the blonde-haired boy, pointing to his back where there was already a clear path and the door was open. Come on, girls, said the one in front, only for the girls to hurry out while the boy continued fighting and covered them. Time seemed to slow down when they passed by him, and they could all look closely into blue eyes like the sea itself, which reflected great determination and at the same time a ferocity in battle that they could describe as unique. And when he turned to look at them, they noticed how for an instant that look changed to one of warmth, and that showed concern for them. That look only lasted 1/100th of a second before the boy turned his gaze back on the zombies and continued killing. The 5 girls managed to get out only to see a red-haired boy already waiting for them on top of a limousine. They preferred to save themselves the question and the doubt, so they proceeded to get in. Once up, the 5 looked towards the door through which they left, only to see how the boy ran away. Start now, Iori shouted Naruto, to which the aforementioned obeyed the order and started the car. Wait, what are you doing? Evelyn asked. We must wait for him, said the mixed-race girl. We can't abandon him, said the blonde with pink hair. Stop the car now, said the light blue skin. Don't worry, he can catch up with us without any problems, said Iori confidently. The girls only looked back to see the boy running and behind him followed by several zombies. Let's help him get there, said the dark blue-haired girl, opening the window of the limousine's roof. When 2 devices that floated on her back came out, they shone, and then 5 projectiles came out of each one. Naruto saw the projectiles and some were going straight towards him. Careful! Shouted the girl when she saw that her attack was also going towards the boy. But great was her surprise when the blonde-haired boy dodged them agilely. The projectiles hit the zombies, killing 10. She is agile and fast, said the blonde with pink but they still follow him, said the light blue-haired girl. But no one could say more when the boy made a great jump and turned in the air, throwing a kunai with a paper tied to it only for it to explode seconds later, finishing off all the remaining zombies. The girls were surprised by that explosion, but the dark blue-haired girl noticed that the boy jumped so high that now he was falling and would fall exactly where she is. She quickly got back into the limo and moved aside to let the boy fall and get in, but that didn't happen. The five looked out the back window only to see the boy standing in the trunk. Then he walked as if nothing was happening to where the roof window was and quickly got in. Iori, go back where we came from, that will save us cleaning, said Naruto after opening a window that faced the driver and co-pilot's side. Very well, Naruto, but I just want to let you know that this is my first time driving one of these, said Iori, to which Naruto just smiled. And you're not doing it badly, said Naruto, to which Iori smiled confidently. Then Naruto closed the window and sat looking at the girls in front of him. Hello, sorry for not introducing myself, but that over there was really crazy, said Naruto, somewhat amused. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. What's yours? Asked Naruto to the girls, who looked at him somewhat surprised, but after a few seconds they reacted. Sorry, my name, as you don't know, is Evelyn, said the white-haired girl, who had tried to attack Iori with what seemed to be two stingers coming out of the back of her clothes. My name is Akali. A pleasure, and thank you for helping us, said the blonde-haired woman with black hair and pink highlights. My name is Kayase. A pleasure, and sorry for attacking you. My intention was not to attack you but rather those who were chasing you, said the dark-haired girl, although she said the last part with a blush of embarrassment. My name is Ari. Nice to meet you, darling, and I also thank you for saving us, said the blonde and pink-haired girl, although her tone was somewhat flirtatious. My name is Seraphine. It's a pleasure, Naruto, said the light blue-haired girl, who was carrying a kind of platform that was now leaning on a seat. Nice to meet you, girls, and don't worry, it was nothing. In fact, we had received a message for help at our base, so I decided to come and respond to the call, said Naruto, giving one of his classic smiles. I see, so they managed to send a message, said Seraphine, somewhat relieved. Naruto-san, excuse me for asking, but what are you? Are you a mutant? Asked Kayase, to which Naruto laughed with amusement. No, I'm not a mutant, Naruto answered, since several people had already confused him with one of those people who called them mutants. No, I'm a ninja, Akali completed, to which Naruto nodded. That's right, and from what you carry in your small backpack that you have on your waist I can see that you are or were also one, said Naruto, to which Akali simply touched her shuriken holder, although she kept smoke bombs in her concerts, that and a paper where she had sealed her kunai, shuriken and her kama. But you are different from me, you use elements of nature to attack, said Akali, since she still needed seals on special papers to make use of the elements. Yes, something like that. Let's say it's something I have because of genetics, Naruto said in a tone that said he wouldn't reveal more about that subject, but then he saw Ari sniff a couple of times in the air. I detect the scent of a Kyuubi coming from you. Why would that be? Said Ari, which made Naruto tense up a little, but he didn't show it. Damn, she can smell Kurama even sealed inside you, said Gyuki seriously. How is that possible? Saiken asked, intrigued. Didn't you notice his 9 tails too? He keeps them together to make it look like one, and uses a kind of magic to change the fur into that crystallized look, said Kurama seriously. Naruto, listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you, said Kurama. Well, apparently a Kyuubi can detect the scent of another, said Naruto, which surprised Ari and the others. How did you realize? Ari asked, only for Naruto to point at Akali. Few things go unnoticed by a ninja. If you don't believe me, ask her, said Naruto, pointing at Akali, to which she nodded in confirmation. But you said another Kyuubi, so you're one too? Ari asked, a little interested. Yes and no, I possess the essence of one, but it is something I will not reveal yet, said Naruto, settling that topic, and the girls knew it. Where are we going? Kayase asked, intrigued since they just got on and didn't even know where they were going. Well, we're heading to the safe base of this city, or at least the only one I know of, said Naruto, only to point out the limousine window where the girls looked out and saw huge walls raised which followed a path up to a few hundred meters, but apparently they were heading towards them. Let me guess, you raised them, said Akali, to which Naruto shrugged. Who knows, maybe yes, maybe not, there are endless possibilities, said Naruto, dismissing the question, and for some reason, the boy's somewhat mysterious behavior was attractive to the 5 girls. By the way, what is that? Asked Naruto, pointing to the platform he was sitting on. Oh, well, it's something like a floating platform, Seraphine answered sincerely. Wow, I can see that you all camouflage your weapons well, said Naruto, causing a slight impression on the girls. What are you talking about? Evelyn asked. Simple, Evelyn-chan, Akalikan, Erikan, Kaisa-chan and Seraphina-kan. You don't mind me calling you that, right? Asked Naruto, to which the girls shook their heads, affirming that it didn't bother them. Well, as I was going to say, Evelyn-chan, those stingers that you have on your clothes on your back, from how you handled them when we met you, I suppose they are something like weapons that you control at will. Then Kaisa-chan's, from what I saw a few moments ago, those crystals that float on your back are some kind of cannons. In Erikan I can feel a strong energy coming from her 2 bracelets, separated. I noticed them harmless and passive, but I think that if you put them together they create a weapon. I don't know what it is, or it's something that I suppose. Then Akalikan, well, she said she was a ninja and ninjas never walk around unarmed, they always have a weapon hidden. And last but not important, Seraphina-kan. That floating platform must be some kind of weapon for you, since why else would someone bring a floating platform to walk on the ground? Said Naruto calmly, and surprising the girls with such a deduction in a short time. Without a doubt the boy was special, since he had guessed everything said. I know that Ari's orb is not formed with those 2 bracelets she carries, but I found it interesting that she will hide them like that, since carrying a shiny orb all the time will be very strange and striking. Can you feel energies? Akali asked, interested because she could only feel the flow of spiritual energy when she concentrated, or when her teacher Shin, who is also a surgeon, showed her the spiritual world, and there she could feel the energy of nature and how it connects with everything. Indeed, a ninja can feel energies around him. That's how they manage to locate their enemy, and if he is close or not, said Naruto, to which Akali found sense. Naruto, sorry to interrupt, but I think they didn't recognize us with the car, said Iori, calling through the window and already being at the entrance towards the walls, where there was a truck with several armed men pointing at them. Right, I forgot I sent them on patrol, said Naruto, and then looked out the window. He sent them on patrol. Who is this boy really? All the girls wondered. Stop, identify yourselves, said the turret keeper loud and clear. Hey guys, how's patrol going? Naruto asked, stepping out of the window on the limo's roof. Mr. Uzumaki, excuse us, we didn't know it was you, said the man respectfully. Don't worry, it's normal. After all, we left in one car and came back in another, Naruto dismissed. Well, we haven't found anything unusual. Everything is calm, replied the Tauren man. Very well, take one last turn and return to the base, said Naruto, to which the men nodded and left, letting the limousine pass by. Come on, Iori, I want to get there now. I have a lot of work to do, said Naruto, only for Iori to take off again and begin heading towards the base wall. From how they referred to you, I suppose you occupy an important place in that base, said Kayase to Naruto. Something like that. I don't consider my position the most important, since there are things that I don't know how to do and other people do. We all need to be united and collaborate to survive, because if we try to survive alone, we will end up dying for one thing or another, said Naruto, something that the girls had to agree with, because they applied it in their group. One was in charge of the choreography, another the costumes, another the music, another the lyrics, and the newest one who was. Seraphine tried to help them all. Iori, take us to the mansion in the car, said Naruto, remembering what the aforementioned had said about the 5 girls, And if he was right that they were very famous, the last thing he wanted was for a crowd of people to block his way and start harassing the 5 girls. Of course, it won't be a problem, and I think it would be a good idea to keep the windows up, said Iori, to which Naruto nodded in agreement. Wow, what special treatment they give us, said Ari, knowing that they did it so that they wouldn't be harassed with autographs or things like that. It's the only best option if I want to avoid wasting time with a bunch of people crowded together blocking the way, said Naruto, showing that he didn't do it because they were famous, or well, not because of what they thought. They didn't say anything about that. The limousine arrived at the doors of the walls where they opened it, and the limousine entered. During the whole trip the girls looked as if inside those walls it was a town. Because apparently everything was quiet inside, children playing and adults talking to each other, as if nothing was happening outside those walls. It was something strange, but nice to see. But they also noticed how everyone looked at the car intrigued, curious to try to know who was there. The limousine arrived at the mansion where Naruto looked out the window and they opened it. Once inside they parked just a few meters from the doors of the mansion. We arrived. Home sweet home, said Naruto, opening the door and leaving. Ladies, welcome to your new home, said Naruto, making a sign to the mansion. The girls got off a little surprised, because they had their own house but it was not a mansion. When they got off, Naruto made a sign to the girls to follow him, which they got off their things and so they did. When they entered the mansion, Naruto saw what was already expected, an anxious Yuri waiting for their return with the 5 famous girls. It can't be, if it's them, it's Kda Kaya, said Yuri, a little excited, but she ended up fainting. I think it was too much emotion for her, Iori said. Please take her home, then I'll talk to her, said Naruto, seeing that he would have to talk to the girl about what bullying was. From Yuri's screams I guess they are the famous ones, said Konan, arriving at the living room at the same time that Iori was carrying Yuri towards his house. Kananchan, let me introduce you, they are Erikan, Evelyn-chan, Akalikan, Kaisa-chan and Seraphina-kan, Naruto introduced, to which the girls nodded and bowed slightly when being introduced. Girls, this is Kananchan, she is part of the radio team and the one who took the request for help from where you were, Naruto said, to which Konan also bowed slightly when being introduced, more out of politeness than anything. It's a pleasure to meet you, Konan said to the 5 girls. The pleasure is ours, said the 5 Kda. Any news? Naruto asked Konan, who denied it. None, everything is calm, just some papers arrived about the underground base. The engineers say that there is already electricity and water underneath, and all that is left is to start covering everything with metal plates. Plus something would be missing to go up and down to the base, said Konan, to which Naruto nodded thoughtfully. Very well, gather several men, the strongest physically if possible. In 2 days we will begin to place the metal bales, said Naruto, to which Konan nodded and left, not before, and to the surprise and jealousy of the 5 girls, Konan kissed Naruto on the lips lightly before leaving. Well, if you follow me I'll show you your room. We only have one left, so I hope you don't mind sharing it, Naruto said to the girls, who nodded and started following Naruto to where they would be staying. Don't worry, it won't be that cramped. Your room is the biggest in the mansion. There are 2 king-size beds and a double. I think it was for Yurikokan's family visits. But now with the current situation, we use each room for a different thing and only a few people live here, Naruto said. This generated interest in the girls, because he said we live, which meant that he also lived there, so for obvious reasons they would cross paths many times. The 5 girls would begin to plan their moves and play their cards little by little to conquer the blonde, because they could not deny that they were very attracted to him. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.